you can't run a business if you don't have toilets. So we didn't have bathrooms. We didn't have any of that. 12 weeks where you're going, okay, am I going to lose everything? Is this the end of Synergy? How else can we help? What else can we do? And so that was sort of what snowballed our efforts into helping our community, but also realizing that there are these pockets of poverty here in Collier County that nobody talks about, but it's also great to know that something as simple as a new pair of shoes can make a kid's day. Look at the world we live in now. I don't think you can meet a single person that you will agree with on religion, politics, point by point. And so it's nice to be able to get those experiences and go. There are more similarities than things that tear us apart. You can come in for like 20 minutes and do, a quick vitamin shot, do the red light bed, do the cryo, and you're in and out in 25 minutes. Or you can do the 40 minutes of leg compression, the half hour in the sauna, and then do the cryo, and suddenly you're there for, an hour and a half. Once I mastered that, I was like, let's move on to sourdough. Everybody's into sourdough.
Yeah.
Talk about a humbling experience. I was like, I'm not watching this. And then my husband watched it with the kids and he's like, it's actually really good. And then a girlfriend was like, oh my God, you guys have to watch this. And I was like, and then of course, I'm like everyone else who's like, and then I'm like, oh my God, we're going up, up, up.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Spotlight on Good People, where we shine a light on the humans that are making the world more compassionate, connected, and kind. Today's guest is the definition of leading with heart and hustle. Stephanie Ahasic is the founder behind Synergy and Thrive, two deeply people-centered businesses focused on wellness and care, not just for clients, but for every soul who walks through their doors. She's a risk taker, a team builder, and a self-described type A optimist who pours everything into creating workspaces where her staff can grow, thrive, and lead lives of purpose. But what makes Stephanie so remarkable isn't just her business acumen, it's her fierce compassion, her humble leadership, and the ripple effect of encouragement she spreads without even realizing it. Let's get to know the woman behind the vision. I saw you on Natalie and...
and Lance. Yeah,
Lance's,
Everybody Loves Naples.
Yeah.
So that was the first podcast I did, and I didn't know that it was filmed. I just thought it was... So I went in
audio. Yeah.
super cash, I didn't do anything, and I was like, and by the way, I had seen clips of their podcast. Why it didn't occur to me, oh wait, you have to, yeah. And then I debated what to wear today, and I was like, everybody sees me in this stuff all the time anyway. This is what I'm wearing. Look. So I was like, this is authentic me. I'm wearing athleisure.
Yeah, that's the thing now anyway. Yeah,
what I wear.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that fits. So the people will know you for who you are. Yeah. And I did not notice that you were not primped in a way that you normally would when I watched the video. You look beautiful in that. So
thank you. But I was like, you're there with Natalie, and Natalie always looks like
she's
polished and cool. And I was like,
yeah.
Whoops, this was a miscalculation on my part. But they're good. Yeah, they're good people.
Yeah. I was with them a couple months ago, and she was doing back to back. So she had to do an outfit change, which, I don't think about, because they're recording 3 episodes or whatever at once. And she transformed in the middle of the, we walked in and she was finishing up an episode, and then she said, I'll be right back. And she went in and transformed. She came out in this knockout skirt that she had on. She looked amazing, like she does.
She gets the whole social media thing. That is not my skill set. That's not my forte. I pay a marketing company to do it because
she's a unique. She's a unicorn in that world.
Yes.
She can be herself fully on there and just let it all go and just turn the camera on and start dancing and just be okay with however the dance was. Yeah, and then turn it off. She's.
I have no social media followers because all I do is ask people for money. I'm like, oh, here's a GoFundMe, or hey, we're doing our toy drive, or hey,
right.
Here we go. It's not like, look, we're on our luxury vacation somewhere.
That's not your. You wouldn't be that. You're too humble to do that, right?
Who has time to go on vacation?
And let alone create the perfect shot to say, here's where we are now, and here's our glamorous life.
I would rather nap. Thank you so much.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a thing I saw the other day with one of these guru guys, and he said, I love the people who say, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to be an entrepreneur because I want to set my own hours. And he's like, say goodbye to Christmas, Easter, Sundays, night times. You'll set your own hours all right, but they're going to be all day and all night. It never shuts off.
3 a.m. You come up with some of your best ideas. So no, there is no.
No, it doesn't. it's not 5 o'clock's not 5 o'clock like it is for everybody else. It's usually the beginning of when you can think, because you're not working on something. Then you can, let your mind, like you said, 3 o'clock, or you're in the shower ridiculously and you have a moment because you can't think about anything else. And that's when the thoughts will come to you.
Some of my best ones come, I feel like, when I'm scrolling, like, the mindless scroll at the end of the day where you're just
just trying to empty it.
Okay, nobody talked to me. I've been talked to enough today. I've touched enough people today. I've done all of that. Let me just have 15 minutes to myself. And then I'm like, oh, wait, here's an idea. Let me write this down on the to-do list. And so that's when some of my best ideas come, is just the mindless, like, it's almost a form of meditation. Can we call that meditation?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is. It's just,
sure.
It takes you away from, or seeing somebody else's misery sometimes helps my misery, like, oh, they're suffering. I don't want to see the people whose life looks too glamorous and too perfect, because it's probably not anyway. But
it's not. Those are, I feel like, some of those are usually people compensating for something. And so it's, I don't know. It's, now that I'm in my 40s, I feel like I realize that more, is that it's what you present on social media is not always who you are or what you are.
Yeah.
And usually those are people compensating for something.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Good for them.
Yeah,
They can go do their ketamine therapy.
Yeah.
And it might help.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good endorsement for that.
Yeah.
So you, this is super informal and super just getting to know the humans that were attracted to this area, that ended up in this area to raise a family and be a part of this community. And it's typically the people that I find that I'm talking to are people that do good things and are good people, but in the background doing this because it's just what you do, and it's not because you're the one to post and say, here's what I'm doing, but because you have the big heart, and you're usually the most humble, which I know that you are, humble about what it is that you do. So I like to find out about the humans that, and we're so blessed in this community. I think it attracts the best of the best. We get really wonderful humans, and Holly said you were one of those wonderful humans that we need to connect.
Honestly, hearing that from Holly is so, I mean, and we're good friends, but she's such a good human that that's always nice to hear, because she does so many awesome things. So that makes me happy.
Yeah, no, it's great, because we were having this conversation about, it's kind of been spinning up more and more in my life. The more good people I surround myself with, the better the people that I am with, rather than people who I am trying to help or think I'm going to help or think I'm going to pull out of wherever funk that they're in. But the people who, it's just like our team that I work with, that I get to work with, when I can recognize that somebody's not lifting everybody else up, that we're spending a lot of time on that person trying to dig them out or whatever, and they're not ready for that, and they don't want it anyway.
They don't know that they need to.
Yeah.
Yes, there's an altered perception of where they're at, and everybody else can see it. And I think we've all had those moments where you think everything is going okay, and you look back and you go, "Oh, I was not at my best at that time."
Yeah, I really missed that.
And that happens. But no, it's like we were saying, that one bad apple can really affect the entire team. And sometimes you don't realize who that person is, and you don't realize it until after the fact. And then as soon as they're gone, it's like there's this huge sigh of relief, and you're like, oh, it's so much better in here.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, everyone's getting along. Everyone is on purpose. Everybody gets it. And those can be really challenging decisions, because sometimes you really like that person.
Yeah.
And you don't realize the drama that's caused behind the scenes. And we have a large staff. I think at Synergy we have 34 employees. Thrive, I think we have 12. So there's a little less drama with fewer people. But sometimes you don't know what's happening behind the scenes, even, in your own business, because you're not there all the time. But you realize it after, and you're like, oh, it's so much better now. And so it seems like the more solid team members we have, the more that come on and join the staff. And so, like, I feel very confident with our staff right now. Like, we have a great team going into season. And then you have people that leave because life happens. They move out of state, they find another opportunity, or in some cases, they go on to start their own business. And you're like, hopefully I had a little part in, maybe inspiring them to do it. And inevitably they come back and they go, why did I do this? And I go, it's harder than you realize, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it's also nice to commiserate on some of those challenges sometimes with fellow business owners.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's never like people think that it is. I mean, are good moments and great moments, and you do it because sometimes I question why we do it or why I do it. But then I know when you see the impact that it has on, we have a team of 60 and we have some just incredible souls, some incredible humans that I'm so blessed to get to have in my life and to be around because they make my life so much better and the lives of other people so much better that they're real thoroughbreds when you get a team like that. And it's a lot like the name of your company, this synergy, when the sum of all parts is greater than the whole. Like it's 1 + 1 = 3. When you put that level of greatness together, you get more than the sum of what everybody's there. If you've got 10 people, it feels like there's 20 there. And it's because of the degree to which they operate. When you get those thoroughbreds, good people running in the right place in the right way.
Yes. And it's also refreshing sometimes because we don't always get feedback from our employees. And, we do office-wide surveys and we, do one-on-ones and meet with people. But I recently had a massage therapist tell me I was having a rough day. Like I don't remember what happened, but I was so disappointed. And I was just like, this is a bummer. I'm sad to hear that. I know what it was. It was a former employee, a former disgruntled employee was saying some things on social media. And I was like, this is awful. And she's like, none of this matters. The people that know you know that this isn't true. And the impact that you have had on me personally. And I was like, I didn't know what she was talking about. And she's like, you don't even know. And that's what makes it so important. She's like, you didn't flinch when I told you that I was a physical therapist in another country. And you said, why are you a massage therapist here? And she's like, that inspired me to go back to, get my degree here in the States so that I can do that and so that I can make a better life for my daughter, my family. And that just touched me so much because it was like that. It didn't seem like a big moment for me.
Yeah.
And the fact that it made a difference for her was huge. And so we don't always know the impact sometimes of the things that we say, or, it's just taken for granted. And it's nice when those moments make a big impact. And I think that's kind of the goal with stuff, right? You don't go into something going, wow, I'm going to do this huge project and everyone's going to remember this. You hope that maybe somebody takes a little tiny thing away. Maybe the child that gets the toy at Christmas will remember this when they're 30 and go, I know my parents could afford to buy that. Somebody made that happen for me. I want to try and make that happen for somebody else. And so you're just hoping that you can inspire that, which doesn't always, it's not like you set out to do that, but you try and do the right thing and hope that sort of snowballs into something bigger. Yeah,
and there's always this ripple that you don't always know about, like that employee you're talking about. When they leave the building and they go to Publix, they're a different person at Publix. They're interacting with the rest of the community in a different way because they feel better about themselves. They're more fulfilled. They're happier. They're have a purpose in life, which they may not have had, or it may not have been that clear to them, but you've created a pathway for people to see that. And so that makes, them less concerned about the road rage driver who cuts them off. They can have grace for that person because they had a great day and they can go home to their spouse or their children and be a better mom or a better wife or a better husband or whoever. It has such an impact that you don't always realize, you're doing it for the greater cause of your guests, creating better health and a better well-being in the world. But at the same time, you have this, 40, 50 staff that have families and parents and children, that there's such a great impact that, you don't always, it's not measurable.
It's not. And I will say that this is somebody who's been on our staff now for about 5 years, and watching her grow in confidence, but also watching her leadership skills. She's the head of her department now, and she does it so well. And so you just kind of go, okay, maybe that played a small role in it. And hearing her say that, I mean, it was one of those things where I think we were both crying, and it was one of those moments that I will remember, as small as it was. It really made me go, okay, maybe I'm doing okay. Because there are times where anybody, whether it's a business owner, whether it's just, in parenting or something, you doubt yourself and you question some of your choices and you go, why did I do that? Opening a second business, I was like, why did I do this? This is so much more work. There's so much more love to come up with an idea and go, this is going to be so easy. All I have to do is X, Y, and Z. And I sometimes don't realize all the details that go into it. And you go, wow, this is more than I anticipated, but also the reward at the end of it is great. And so now I'm like, okay, great. It's great that I built this second business and now it's doing what it needs to do and we have the right team. But, you know, it doesn't always come easily, and you definitely make some mistakes along the way, but hopefully you learn from those mistakes and the next project that'll come around, because of course I'm going to do it again. Of course I'm going to open another business. Why would you stop it too? Hopefully now I've learned some things and, you know, can do it better the next time, but I'm sure the same thing will happen where I'll go, oh, wait, I didn't think of that. And how can we learn from this and how can we move on and make it better the next time? So
yeah. Well,
there's always a lot of learning.
Has that always been in your DNA though? Because just uprooting yourself from Chicago and coming to Naples is a risk. Uh-huh. That's a big deal to say we're going to, you know, I don't know what you have as a support system here, if there's family here or what got you here.
There wasn't. My in-laws had a place down here, and my husband was playing golf professionally at the time, trying to get on the PGA Tour. So we needed someplace warm year-round. And this was a pit stop. There was never an intention to stay here forever. I have a large family back home. He has a large family. All of our family is in the Chicago area. So we were sort of the oddballs moving here. But I was also one of the first people in my family to move from the Midwest to go to school in New Jersey and then go to school in Connecticut. He went to college out in California. So we also had both taken that risk of sort of leaving and, you know, exploring some other corners of the world. So when we moved to Florida, I was like, great, we're living in a vacation area. This is wonderful. And then, of course, you get a job and you realize it's not just floating in the pool all day long. You have to, like, go to work. But we loved it when we moved here. Now, this was also 15 years ago, so we were living, you know, basically in a retirement community. So we were the youngest people there. Yeah. And then when I decided to buy a practice, it was like, well, we're here now. So we're, you know, this seems like the place that we want to be. And it seemed like a great place to raise a family. And quite frankly, being here was great because people always wanted to visit. So we didn't necessarily miss our family because they still came down or we would make it up there. So the first few years probably were a little more challenging because we didn't know as many people in the community. And so there were absolutely times where it was like, wait a minute, what are we doing here? Would it be easier if we moved back to Chicago? But I had taken that risk with starting a practice, so we needed to see it through. And, you know, then we started to develop that community, those groups of friends, and it really helped us go, no, this is the place we need to be. And then you have kids, and, you know, you start to meet your kids, friends, parents, and, you know, things shift. And so now there's nowhere else I would rather be. Naples is it. You know, we also have 2 businesses here, so we're staying. But Naples is such a great community. And there are so many aspects of that community that I feel like are, you know, amazing. And so there's absolutely no place I'd rather be. And again, our family can come down and visit us. Yeah.
Well, I guess even going back to your choice of schools, leaving the Midwest to go to the Northeast, because they're drastically different.
They are. They gave me the most money. So it was like, great, where can I go for the least amount of money? And it was a totally different place. Like New Jersey is very different than the Chicago area. And I loved it. And I still have friends that I went to school with there. And Connecticut I went to because I followed a boy. And of course we broke up like 6 months later. But rather than go, oh, I moved to Connecticut for a boy, I had summers off, and that's when I met my husband. And so it's like, okay, yeah, I paid more for school, but also, you know, I met the love of my life, and so I can't be too angry about that. And, you know, experiencing Connecticut was also, you know, interesting, and I'm okay not living in Connecticut. So, you know, those life experiences, I guess I never considered it a risk. And looking back, I was like, oh, that was probably a little bit of a risk. So I've been accused of, you know, shoot first, aim later. And sometimes I'm just like, it's going to be fine. But I also feel like I've been really lucky. Those risks have always paid off. Or if not, I've learned a valuable lesson and, you know, been able to move on from it. So yes, there have been some risks, but also, you know, getting a different worldview is also so important. Meeting different types of people is so important. And I feel like that sometimes is where compassion can come from. And that's sometimes where understanding comes from, because you don't always agree with people. I mean, look at the world we live in now. I don't think you can meet a single person that you will agree with on religion, politics, point by point. And so it's nice to be able to get those experiences and go, okay, we're all just, there are more similarities than things that tear us apart. And it sort of just gives you a different perspective and a different worldview. And so I feel very fortunate to have that.
Well, there seems to be a common thread in people who are willing to take risks, and whether it's in business or life where you are going to live, leaving the nest of your community of people, which is all your family. And this is a really big deal. It's this serial optimism sometimes. It's like you have this glasses half full look and you have to. I mean, in business, you have to find the good in every little piece. So what were you like as a student? Where did that come from? What was your upbringing
I mean,
like?
I was a type A perfectionist. God forbid you get a B. And so I'm one of 5 kids. The other 4 were always very athletic and all of that. I was the smart one. And so that sort of shifted some things, or I was the theatrical one. I know you can't tell the faces that I make, but I was always very into drama and things.
Where were you in the birth order?
Number 4.
Okay.
4 out of 5. You're not the middle child. You're not the youngest child.
Yeah.
It was my brother is the oldest, and then it's 4 girls. So it's not even like, I'm the youngest girl. No, you're just number 4. So I think sometimes my parents didn't know what to do with me. And I would argue that my husband probably doesn't think I'm as optimistic, but there are certain things I'm optimistic about. Big picture, I'm always like, it's always going to work out. Little things, though, I'm like, this could go sideways. What's my plan B? And so there are times where I'm half full, half empty, and it really depends on the situation. I try to be optimistic in life in general with my kids, with all of that, but then I also like to have my plan B. So I take calculated risks.
Yeah.
I would say that I'm not
That's
a
good.
just general risk. Like I'm not out driving 90 miles an hour on the high, maybe occasionally, but I like to take calculated risk where I'm like, okay, this payoff for this is going to be better. So I could have worked for somebody. I had a job in Fort Myers working for another chiropractor, and I hated it. I wanted to do my own thing, make my own hours like we talked about. And then of course I opened a practice and realized that it is not 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. It is 7 days a week, and stuff always pops up that you have to kind of take care of. But I also wouldn't have it any other way. So I like knowing that if a decision is made that if I don't make the right decision, it's on me. It's not on anybody else. And if I make the right decision, it's on me and it's not on anybody else. And so I like kind of having that control. But yes, I'm always healthily optimistic that things will work out. Yeah. Even in those scary times, you're like, it's got to work out, because there is no backup. If your business does, you have to pour everything into it, because if it doesn't work out, it is on you. And I don't fail at things, so I'm not willing to have that happen. So, calculated risk and optimism.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get that. Yeah, calculated risk. Yeah. But nonetheless, still a risk. And either way, when you sign your name on a lease, it's a risk, because there's no guarantee that you got money coming in to pay those.
There is. Because the cringiest thing that could happen in my life would be going to my parents and saying, I failed, I need your help. Like, I'm too old for that.
Yeah. Right,
I'm in my 40s. Right. There's no, backup parachute. So, but fortunately, and I think because there is no other option, fortunately it's worked out very well. And it's also fun to be really proud of something that you've built, you know, because I started in a space, I bought a practice from a doctor. I was in like 800 square feet on the corner of Airport and Radio. It doesn't even exist anymore. The Kia dealership took it over. They just knocked it down. I had 1 employee. And when I bought that practice, I paid like $250,000 for it. Wow. She sent a letter out saying, bye everybody, I'm leaving. I was seeing like 20 patients a week, wondering how I was going to pay those bills. And so there were definitely some like, oh no moments. Like, what did I get myself into? And then I met the right people, and we had the right patients that liked what I was doing and referred everybody else in. And it really snowballed from there. And so it did work out, but it wasn't without those moments of going, am I going to be able to pay my rent this month? Am I going to be able to make sure that this happens? And so there were absolutely moments of, oh no. But within, 3 years, we were able to move to a 4,600 square foot space. And we were able to go from 1 employee to, 10 employees to 20 employees to, now 30 something employees. And it was definitely, it was a process, right? But it ended up, as much as I struggled in the beginning, definitely learned some lessons on, a smaller scale. And I think that ended up saving us a lot in the long run. So scary stuff, but it still, it worked out. And, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I'm also really proud of what we've, now built in Naples, because it's more than just about the business. It's about, what the mission is. And it's about making sure that your employees are taken care of, but also hopefully inspiring them to do some good in the community, whether it's, helping us with our school supply drive or, adopting students off of like our Christmas tree ornaments and stuff like that. It's letting them know about some of those opportunities that are out there to hopefully make a difference in the community as well. Because it's not just about me. It's about the community that we've built at Synergy. It's about the community that we're building at Thrive. And it's making sure that all of those people are sort of on message with what we're trying to do and making sure that they're on mission with that. And so luckily it's worked out. It's worked out really well for us.
Yeah. Well, and some tough moments. So take me back to when you were seeing 20 patients a week. You've got this, not only the expenses, but then you've got the note to pay. You got to, you put a big investment here, and you're seeing 20 patients a week or whatever number you were at, and you need to be at this number to pay, because now you're not just thinking about what you're thinking about because you got patient in front of you, but you've got this whole other side of your brain that you've got to work, that I've got to handle all that and this. And what was that like? Because it's not like it is now. You had to go through that space. You had to go through that struggle, which was like...
Thank God for my in-laws, my parents, and my husband, because my parents and my in-laws were kind enough to, co-sign on the loan. I'm fresh out of school. Who's going to loan me money? You know, I have student loans to pay back and everything. They were kind enough to do that. And we also were living at the time rent-free at the condo that my in-laws had. So thank God for that, because it wasn't like, oh no, if I don't make enough money this month, I can't pay my mortgage and, we're going to be evicted. They were very kind landlords. But it was a very scary time. And so that also forces you, though, into this hustle of, okay, what are we going to do about this? How is it that we can get more patients in? What are we going to be able to do to, build this up? And fortunately, it happened fairly quickly, where it was like, oh my gosh, we saw 50 patients this week. That's amazing. So within probably 6 to 9 months, I was able to bring on, I think, a second and a third employee, which was nice, because now it's like, great, we have a full-time massage therapist, so we can bill those massages, and people love massages. So that was kind of the key to bringing people in. But it was also kind of reviewing stuff and going, okay, which insurances are paying us? Because Blue Cross Blue Shield doesn't pay us anything. But I realized that, for instance, the teachers, the sheriff's department, the government paid the most on services. So we started to try and attract those patients in. So we started doing events, chair massages, things like that. And they started to come in. But that was also, I always joke, like, teachers pay my bills. And truly they do, because they have great insurance. But they have also taught me so much about the community, because without teachers telling me their stories, I wouldn't know that we have Title I schools in Collier County. I wouldn't know that there are kids that aren't getting 3 meals a day, and they're dependent on those 2 meals a day at school. So, we attracted the right patients, but again, it was also great that I got to learn so much about our community. And so it really has been a win-win kind of situation. They're getting care, which is great, but also it helped me to learn a whole lot more about the area that we're in. Yeah.
It's always fascinating to me to see, as an entrepreneur or as somebody who's just putting their signature on the line, you have to innovate always. You have to look, well, I'm doing this group of patients that I don't get paid for, or I have to fight, or I have to put so much admin into getting the money from the insurance company that it's really not, it's not helping the business grow. And I have to adjust and shift and make things work to where I can take it to a different group. You've just got to always be thinking like, or what is shifting
Spending
gears.
an hour to get $20 for Blue Cross Blue Shield. You're like, this doesn't make sense. And so, I was so grateful that the owner of the business, the woman that I bought the practice from, was in network already with those, because I wouldn't have known about that otherwise. But it was also putting in the work of reviewing stuff and going, where can we get money? You know, what makes sense for how we're going to get our name out there, and just going to, you know, a normal health fair where people want to talk to you at a health fair. It's great, but they're not always the best patients, or they're currently seeing somebody else, and you don't want to advise them in a way that's different than the provider that they're seeing. I don't like to overstep on that, and I don't know somebody's, you know, history when they're coming up to talk to me for 5 minutes at a fair. But we were able to kind of shift a little bit and really know who our target audience was, and you know, that's really been kind of the key to our success. So it was one of those things where I was fortunate to have a couple of big mouth patients who wanted to tell everybody, who liked what we were doing and wanted to tell everybody to come in. And they did that, and that allowed us to then expand a little bit more, come up with some different ideas, and ultimately get into a much better space that was more visible, could accommodate more patients, and also was just a lot more fun, because that was like a sad little office. It was like an abandoned plaza. Wasn't ideal. I remember the receptionist telling somebody once, "We're right behind the abandoned gas station." Not going to attract people in. So, you know, moving to a bigger space, and quite frankly, it was more space than we needed. And I went, is this going to work out? Within a year, that space was filled. And suddenly we went from 3 massage therapists to, you know, 8 massage therapists to now we have 16 massage therapists. We've had to add rooms in there. So it paid off, but it was scary times.
Yeah, well, you made that decision to move, and signing 4,500 square feet. It's a big, it's a big chunk to bite off, because you got CAM charges, marketing fees, and you got to pay for all the AC maintenance and the AC breaks, and you probably got 2 AC units or 3. Who knows?
Oh, we got 4.
4 AC units that are your responsibility. The landlord owns, but you have to fix them and maintain them. So you got to sign your name to that, and then you got to do the build out. You know, the build out on the place.
And let me tell you, doing build out in Naples, Florida, I have not ever had it go smoothly. You know, whether it was Synergy, whether it was Thrive, it takes forever. It takes always 2 to 3 times what they tell you. It costs way more than they tell you it will be. And we did a pretty bare bones build out, because it was such a huge space that I was like, okay, we're not putting down fancy flooring. We're not doing any of that. And of course, then we flooded multiple times. So when you have cheap carpet and it floods, you got to tear that carpet up. So we ended up, you know, getting a nice upgrade after Hurricane Irma, because we were closed for 12 weeks because it flooded inside. And so we got new flooring out of it. We were closed for 12 weeks, but we got some new flooring. So
out there, it flooded there. And on Livingston and
ish. I was on a hurricane because I had young kids, and I'm like, I'm not going to be here with a baby and a 4-year-old without power. So we went up to Orlando and stayed at like a timeshare that my parents had. And we're like, great, we'll sit by the pool and drink hurricanes. And it was my birthday weekend. So I was like, great, we're going to pretend that it's all going to be fine, and we're going to go home, and we're still going to have a home, and we're going to have an office. It didn't flood outside. What happened instead was the roof failed. And so when the property manager looked around, he was like, yeah, everything's fine. When my employee went back in to say, hey, the power's on, let's call patients, she's like, there's water in here.
Oh my gosh.
By then it had been sitting for 7 or 8 days. So they had to cut up like 4 feet of drywall in the whole back part of the space. So you can't run a business if you don't have toilets. So we didn't have bathrooms. We didn't have any of that.
12 weeks.
12 weeks where you're going, okay, am I going to lose everything? Is this the end of Synergy? You know, we had a good run. I think we were only in that space for 3 years at that time. So 12 weeks was devastating, because You're worried about paying your employees. You're worried that patients are going to go somewhere else. They're going to find somebody else.
Sure.
But we tried to, make lemonade. So that was when we first started going out in the community. That was where we had patients who, I knew it was going to be okay. We were going to be able to get the drywall in, put down new floors. We were going to be able to reopen. And, it was a blip, but hopefully within 6 months we would be back to where we were because we had finally started making money. So you're like, yes. And then you're like, no.
Right.
But we had patients that lost their homes. And so it was a great opportunity to say, okay, guys, let's get out and actually do something to help our community. So we were going and helping, pull out drywall at somebody's home down in Everglades City. But I was also hearing from teachers or seeing on social media that there were kids without running water, not getting food, not getting all of that. So we started collecting food. We were a drop-off site for donations, and Burn Boot Camp helped us a lot with that at the time. And I remember going to Avalon Elementary and dropping some of those items off and thinking it was just going to be like, here you go, bye. And the principal, Jess Campbell, who's a powerhouse in her own right, was like, great, let's go deliver them. And I was like, oh, wait, me? Oh. And I was also like, wait, you're the principal. You're going out. So, talk about a woman who leads by example. She was like, yeah, let's get in my car. I know where all these kids live. She knew what kids needed help. She knew their backstories. She was so invested in these kids, and she was so passionate. And I will never forget that because it was the first time I went into East Naples, and I was like, we have 3 families living in one home. And it wasn't because of Irma. They had always been 3 families living in a home. And when she knocked on that door, the kids' faces just lit up, and they were so excited, like, oh, wow, we have Cocoa Puffs to eat, and we have stuff for sandwiches and fresh water. And seeing all of that, but knowing how much she cared, I was like, how else can we help? What else can we do? And so that was sort of what snowballed our efforts into helping our community, but also realizing that there are these pockets of poverty here in Collier County that nobody talks about, nobody knows about. So that was really kind of an emotional point, but it also was so eye-opening, and it brought another level of compassion to these teachers who are with these kids every single day, and they see them wearing clothes that are too small, shoes that do not fit. They know that they're hungry because they're asking for snacks. And so many of them are on donors' choose asking for snacks for their kids. And this is a problem that still exists today where they don't have enough to eat. And we know based on studies that if they don't have enough to eat at school, they're not going to perform as well as they should. And we know that that can snowball into later on, maybe they're not going to finish school or they're not going to go on to something else. And that just breaks my heart because that's not something my kids experience. That's not something their friends experience. It's not something I ever experienced as a kid. I mean, we didn't grow up wealthy. There were 5 kids in my family, but we had everything we needed, not everything we wanted. But we had everything we needed. And so it's really heartbreaking when basic needs aren't met for these kids. And then during COVID, it was kind of the same thing, kids not getting fed. So we closed for a little bit of time during COVID. We didn't necessarily have to, but a lot of our massage therapists weren't comfortable. A lot of our patients weren't comfortable. We didn't have, germicide. We didn't have masks. So we were closed for probably 6 weeks during COVID. And during that time, it was asking teachers, what do your kids need? Because they were going into the schools making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and making sure that their kids had food to eat. So we started delivering meals, and we partnered with Dave from the Great Foodini, who had a food truck, and he started something called No Hungry Tummies. We started feeding like 600 people a day. Synergy was like the spot, right? We set up all these tables and assembly line style, but we had, patients coming in with their kids to help us out. We had teachers coming in. We had, women from Burn Boot Camp. We had so much support, and it was such a scary time, but it was also such a fulfilling time because all of these people just wanted to help and they needed to know how to do it. And so saying, hey, we need drivers to deliver 60 meals today. We need somebody to help us answer the emails and the calls that are coming in and making sure that these are legitimate requests. And we need people to help us make these sandwiches or get stuff. So as scary as it was also kind of a fun time of meeting new people who just wanted to help. And knowing that we were making a difference for somebody, like they're getting a hot meal today that they otherwise wouldn't get because the schools were still trying to get the meals, but if you don't have a way to get there, if you're 6 years old and you're at home by yourself because your parents have to go to work, you're not getting that hot meal. And so people like Jess Campbell showing me what is out there really inspired me to make sure that other people know about it and other people know about these needs that are within our community. So I don't know, it's amazing how sometimes those really scary times you kind of go, okay, enough about me. What else can we be doing for the people out there? Because I always tell my kids, you're not going to be the richest person in your class, but you're also probably not going to be the worst off. And so we need to find a way to help the people that are struggling because, you know, they go to Veterans Memorial, North Naples. There are still families that are struggling. Like so many people live in a world where one disaster takes away your savings and you're going, what are we going to do? And so it doesn't matter what part of town you're in. It doesn't matter, you know, what your last name is. It matters that we all need to find those opportunities and try and make a difference to people. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a flashy, showy thing. Like it can just be finding those and doing something. You know, Donors Choose. You don't have to put your name on Donors Choose, but people that want to help teachers, great, go on Donors Choose. You can find the schools, you can find the things that they're asking for their classrooms, and you'd be shocked at how many just want snacks for their kids. Yeah. And that's so telling. So, yeah. That's beautiful because you take those times where in my lifetime here that we've never had hurricanes or pandemic, the last 10 years have been a challenge in this community. I mean, just Irma, Ian, fires,
pandemic,
like
fires.
What is happening?
Yeah, it's been a tough 10 years. And those emotions or those feelings between the hurricanes and the pandemic and the fear around, I've got 60 families that need to eat, they need to live, and some of them are paycheck to paycheck, and they, got to have money or they're not going to eat, and it's critical. 1 week off without a paycheck is enough to put you in debt. Yeah. Or, your refrigerator breaks. Oh, wait, that's, $1,500 we need to spend on something. That's $1,500 we don't have. That's the reality for so many people. I remember when we were delivering those meals, I had a friend who lives in Port Royal who was like, great, I'll help with deliveries. He was like, what's happening down there? Do we need to call DCF? What's going on? I'm like, no, this is just how people live in our community. Yeah. 2 miles from where you live. This is what under-resourced looks like. And so, yes, helping is great, but figuring out how to help. And I have to say, we have so many great programs like Collier Cares. I'm constantly directing people to that lets people know about the resources, lets people know about the nonprofits, because we have so many amazing ones. Like Laces of Love, I love getting their financials every year because they're like, well, this is what we spent this year. And it's like $89 on postage. What nonprofit? Nobody takes a paycheck. Nobody does anything. But you ask any teacher in Collier County about Laces of Love, and they're going to go, yes, we have kids with shoes. So kids that otherwise might not be able to play football will get cleats. Kids that show up to school with holes in their shoes or they're walking funny because their shoes are too tight, they've got a pair of shoes. And so, I'm blown away by some of the organizations that are out there and the people behind them because they really do make a difference. And they're not out there showing it off all the time. They just quietly lead by example. And I think it's so impressive, but it's also great to know that something as simple as a new pair of shoes can make a kid's day. Yeah. Because hand-me-downs are real in families. I get hand-me-downs all the time. But I also always had, a new pair of shoes. And I mean, you get that pep in your step when you got some new sneaks on. So we're really fortunate to be in this community because there are so many organizations that make a difference. But then there are also pockets where you go, wait, here's a need that's not being filled. What can we do to help that? And so that's where it's important for people to just sort of go, wait, I can help. I can do that. Yeah. But also directing people so they know what to do because people want to help either financially or, volunteering, and they just need that little shove to know where they can make a difference. Yeah. Well, you took those times, because I remember those times so well when you're terrified. It's uncharted territory, especially for a business owner. You don't know. The government's saying you have to close your doors, and half the people are saying don't do that, but do this. I remember during the pandemic, the very first few days of it, we were still open and allowed to be, but half the people were saying, we'll come in. We just keep us separated. This was before the shutdown. And then the other half were saying, you're murdering people, literally on social media telling us that we were murderers because we gave employees an option. If you want to work and you feel safe working, you can come to work. And same with the clients. If you can't want to come in, you can. And, we were getting lambasted online for murdering people, and the other half, people who wanted to work and wanted to be here, and just spaces that we had never encountered before, and just trying to do the best we can do, and trying to feed people that need to be fed. It's.
But that was the story of that time, right? It was so bizarre, and I still don't know what the right or wrong answers were during that time, because we all were just doing the best we could.
That's all we could do. Yeah, there was no book.
It was like, okay, we need to make sure, especially when somebody's in a small enclosed space for an hour working on someone. I understood when my massage therapists were like, I don't feel comfortable working on somebody. And then we had people who were like, well, I want to work on people. It was the same thing where you had patients that wanted to come in. So we tried to do modified hours where they could come in, especially if they were really acute. I was giving out my phone number all the time then, and I still regret that to this day, because it's amazing what people will text you about, and you're like, you could just call the office for this. But it was such a bizarre time, and, I did do a few days of like hanging out at home, and like we're in the pool and we're drinking our White Claws, and then my husband likes to joke that I got antsy and was like, nope, I need to get out of the house. So it was fun to have a different purpose, but also know that purpose was hopefully making a difference for people.
Yeah.
Because it was such a weird time.
Yeah. And
glad it's over.
Yeah, likewise. I know. And then to have storms that we had that were unprecedented and, just so impactful in the community between Ian and Irma and the ones in between, and the scary ones that we thought were coming and didn't come. And, over the years, I'd kind of gotten numb to storms coming. They always talked about the water surge, but I was like, right. I've seen years of it. But I remember back when Irma happened, we were shut down because there was no power and, all the rest of that. But we didn't have any damage, but we just didn't have power. And in this location, maybe because it's on the hospital grid, got power here. So, but we didn't have internet. And so we couldn't process any payments. So what we did was just opened up to free services because people wanted to work. And we just moved everybody who wanted to work during that time here, and we just opened it up to do free services because we couldn't do anything anyway, and people wanted stuff done. So it at least people who didn't have electric could come get their hair washed and feel better about themselves. So we did a ton of blowouts, and I remember we had two clients sitting right next to each other. One who had never been to us, but we opened our doors to everyone. Just all come. It doesn't matter if you've ever been or not. We want to do what we can, and she'd never been, probably would never, ever be able to come. But she heard about it, didn't have power. And, she just was struggling through this and struggling in life in general. And then this, and the woman next to her was a good client, had been coming many years. But here they both were, one who lives in Port Royal and one who lives in East Naples in a trailer with another family that is destroyed, has nothing. And here's even the one in Port Royal, had no power, had no access to anything, couldn't have whatever they wanted, whether they wanted it or not, needed it or not, because of the circumstances. They're sitting side by side, and both of them they were both equal in that it didn't matter how much money you had in the bank. It didn't matter at all in that moment because nobody had anything. We were all just stripped of everything in that time. But I remember the woman talking about the roof on her house next to the woman who lives in East Naples was saying the roof was gone. And they were having this conversation together, and this woman took out her checkbook and wrote her a check for $10,000. In that moment, it was like, it made it all worth it to see the humanity and people come out to, the hearts that opened up, in a way that.
But what a life-changing moment. I mean, I'm sure the woman in Port Royal was like, okay, little drop in the bucket, but $1,000 is life-changing to people. $10,000 is life-changing to people. So that's amazing.
Yeah, to see humanity and the humanity in people that, and that's one of the things that I felt blessed about during those times where we did the same. Like, what else can we do? How else can we contribute? We went to Immokalee. We took a bus and went to Immokalee. And we took our whole team out there, and we delivered food to these people that delivered supplies, because Immokalee was inundated with supplies. They took them all into this high school. The whole nation shipped in supplies in big trucks, and they had a distribution problem because they had all these supplies, but they had to get them out to people. So we went out and there's this one area in Immokalee. It's called the Rat, and it's known for not being like the Rat. That's why they call it the Rat. So we would take some of the students. That's how I met one of our senior employees right now, because she was in school in Immokalee, and they would guide, take us in our cars to deliver the food to these people, and to see how even pre-hurricane, what the conditions that they were living in, and to see the gratitude that they had for the simplest little things, diapers, staples of food, basics, just the littlest things, that toilet paper and things that are just basics, you think everybody has access to, and to see how moved and touched and grateful they were for these tiny little blessings that I take for granted.
Of course,
that, just were such a big deal, and such a...
And, sometimes I get people who say, well, there are people who take advantage of the system, or there are people, I'm sure there are, but I feel like that is such a small percentage of people. We even saw that because, of course, then Ian hit. So it was like Irma, pandemic. Yeah. I'm like, great, I'm done. I've checked all these boxes. Mm-hmm. Ian happened, and it didn't impact Synergy from an operations standpoint, but we were supposed to start construction on Thrive like the week after Ian. Well, that didn't happen. It delayed us by probably 5 months. So it gave us the opportunity to be a drop-off center for donations. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, this is my PSA for donations. If you wouldn't send it to Goodwill, if it has holes in it, if it has stains, don't donate it to somebody. Just because people have lost everything doesn't mean that they want to wear your ratty old... Remember the quote in Clueless where she's like, some people lost everything, including their ski equipment. The ball gowns that were dropped off. Someone cleaned out their lingerie drawer, I think, because there was also a toy that was donated, and I don't think that was intentional. But
my gosh.
We had a lot of laughs over some of the things that were donated, but also the generosity of people, boxes of diapers coming in, because again, diapers are expensive, but babies need those. The formula, everything else that came in, and people were so grateful for those things, even giving them a gift card so they had the opportunity to go and shop for themselves, so that it's not just, okay, we're picking out some shoes that might or might not fit, or, we're getting this. They had the opportunity to go and buy what they actually needed, because they might have been able to take a bunch of clothes with them, but maybe they needed the toothbrush and the toothpaste and shampoo. You didn't really know. And so empowering people during that crazy time was also great. But, again, it was kind of like, okay, it really was frustrating. I lost my whole free rental period because we had to delay construction. But again, it gave us the opportunity to be a place that people could come when they needed something. And so...
Yeah, people don't think about that, because that cost you big. That was a big cost to you, because you're losing... You got to now pay rent now. You're not having the build-out time to do it.
I already had my build-out loan, so I'm also paying the interest on that. It was...
People don't think about that. It was
one of those where you go, I had equipment that was going to be ready to be shipped in, so now I'm paying storage fees because we're not ready for it. And of course, as we said, construction in Florida, they always tell you it will take 3 months and then 9 months later. So it did delay us by, a good 9 months easily. And that was frustrating. But again, you try to think about, okay, but there were people who were able to get some help, and we might not have had the ability to have all of those things on our site. So how would they have gotten it? Yeah. And there were other places. I'm sure we could have found churches and places to drop stuff off, but we have a very convenient location, so it was easy for people to get to and kind of get what they needed, or have a friend pick it up for them. So, you go, okay, at least we had an opportunity to help some people during that time.
Yeah.
It wasn't an expected thing, right? It wasn't like, oh, wow, this is what we're planning to do, but it was like, great, we have a space, let's use it. Yeah. So.
Well, that's what I like to, that's what I think makes our community what it is, when you have people like that who, like yourself, who take those circumstances and make the best out of what it is for the community. So it also has me want to recognize, or the world recognize, that when you support a business, you're doing more than just giving them your money. You're actually the ripple impact of that, like a business that is concerned about the health of the community as a whole. You know, sometimes we get people who ask, I saw this post on the internet recently, and it was about a business that somebody was coming in and asking for a donation, and the business person said, sure, which one of our locations do you go to? And the woman said, well, I've never been here before. I don't go to your store, but I need a donation, and I need a money donation for, I don't even know what the cause was. It was sort of a joke about, you know, it helps to support a business, especially if you want to have the business give back to the community to support the business. But there's a circular effect of that when you,
Absolutely.
you know, and you have good people that are committed to the health and well-being of the community. It impacts everyone all the time. And so you have the heart and the, you know, to not just be concerned about your bottom line, but when you have a better bottom line, it helps the whole world, because you can give back more.
Oh yeah.
So it makes a bigger difference.
So
for
great,
everybody
come in and do all the things so we can do all the things. But, you know, I think that makes sense because we get requests all the time for stuff. And, you know, we try to support our community. But there are people that ask a lot and ask often. And you're like, okay, what is this money actually going to?
Yeah.
Because there are also, you know, some nonprofits out there that I think could do more for their community. And so I'm like, am I donating this and it's going to a CEO's paycheck? Or is this going back to the people that we want to help? And so there are times where I'll say, we're already overcommitted, you know, this month. But when
You
I
have
know,
to. You have to.
yes,
Yeah.
because I mean, and some of the requests are sometimes like crazy big, where you're like, I'm not giving you $10,000. Like, that's nice.
When your CEO's making 200 and then your admin charges are 40% of your budget for admin, for you're only giving 60% of the money back, please.
Yep.
You know, that's not necessary. I'd rather give the money directly to the kids or whoever it is that you're supporting.
Yes, and that's kind of why, like, Holly and I threw around the idea of starting like a nonprofit, so that when there were things like, you know, Ian or a pandemic or whatever, we would have money kind of set aside that we could then support. But there are a lot of rules and restrictions, right? And we're both kind of the mindset where the needs of the community can change. The groups that we want to help can change. And so I don't want to be restricted by that. I don't want anybody telling me who we can help or who we can't help.
Right,
and so I want to make sure that we're making the most impact where we see fit, but also not having to also deal with some of those admin costs. Because if you do start a nonprofit, who's working the nonprofit? How are you getting, you know, the messaging out there? And there are a lot of costs that go with it. So I just like doing what I want to do. Yeah.
Well, you have the freedom of that. There's no restrictions of it, right? Them telling you, you got to be audited and pay so much money in auditing expenses, and you have to have a CPA, and it gets a whole other world where you can just go directly to whatever you want to do to support people that way. I think what's cool about this for me is that I get to, I don't normally have these kind of conversations with people in regular life. You know, you just don't. You don't take time for it. You don't get to get in depth about the humanity in anyone's life. You know, even my friends or people at the gym or whoever I'm around in my life, to have this level of a conversation. So it's cool for me and for other people to see what's inside you, like what your parents who have had 5 children, which is incredible to me. Like, how'd they do that? Were they thinking about that? What was their...
Well, my mom is one of 8 and my dad is one of 9, and it's a very Catholic area. And so everybody had, you know, large families in that area. So it also wasn't a super, you know, I grew up with a lot of people and, you know, similar family sizes and stuff. I actually went through 17 years of Catholic school, K through college, and K through 12, I was in school with 3 first cousins and I think 2 second cousins. I mean, so it was also like you grew up with your family, which was kind of fun. You know, my best friend growing up was the cousin that lived in the house just behind ours. So, you know, that was really fun. And so there was, you know, some sense of giving back, but that didn't necessarily happen until a little bit later when my parents had more disposable income to do that. But I remember doing things like, getting the ornament off the tree at church, or, adopting a family at Christmas and things like that. And, that was always nice. We did food drives at school and things, and that's fine, but you don't necessarily know the people that they're going to. And so it's this foreign concept of like, oh yeah, we're helping the people, but you don't put a face with a name. You don't really know where it's going. So for me, it might be going to people in Aurora, or for all I know, it could be going to, people in a third world country. That was, in the 90s, it was like, eat your dinner or I'll send it to somebody in a third world. There are children starving. So it was sort of a foreign thing. And it wasn't, I will say it wasn't necessarily, family that inspired it, although my parents are very good, very generous people. I think it's more those little moments of someone else doing a small kindness that makes a difference. Like, I still remember being on the train coming back. I was taking some summer classes at DePaul in Chicago and was taking the train back into Aurora. And I must have dropped my train ticket. I had like a 10-ticket pass or something. So I'm calling my dad crying, going, I can't pay. And the guy's asking for my ticket and I don't have it. And I don't have any cash because I lost that. I had a little pouch and I lost it. And some nice man paid for my ticket. And I was so grateful. And I still regret not having his name so that I could thank him. And that was just that little moment of like somebody doing something. It was probably a $10 train ticket. But that moment of going, okay, I need to do something nice for somebody else. And there are so many of those small moments that we have, whether it's, a police officer not writing you a ticket, or, life happens where there are small kindnesses, and you hope to keep that karma going by, spreading some of that kindness as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, it's not like you do it so that your kids see it, but I try to also get my kids involved in some of these things. If we're buying, if we're supporting some of the students, at Christmas, they come in and they choose some ornaments. And, usually it's my daughter wants to choose a girl that's the same age, and my son will do the same. But it's so fun to see how excited they get shopping for things for somebody that they'll never meet. And knowing the power of giving back, but also having those hard conversations with them, and, saying that this is, not everybody has the things that you have. And again, there are always going to be people that have a fancier car or a bigger house or more money in their bank account, and that's great for them. But there are also always going to be people who need help. And so figuring out a way to help them is so important, whether it's, by doing a random act of kindness to support them because they're having a bad day because their fish just died, or, helping them out, kind of anonymously, making sure that they have a good holiday just like they have. And, my daughter still believes in Santa, so we keep the magic of Santa alive. But I also try to say, you get some presents from Santa and you get some presents from mom and dad, and not all mom and dads are able to give things to their kids. And so they'll, of course, get their gift from Santa, but also, their parents want to make Christmas special as well. So they kind of have that concept that, it's great on Christmas morning to go think about the kids that are opening their presents right now that otherwise wouldn't have had that chance, but you made that happen. And so letting them know that they're making a difference. And again, maybe that child that's opening that present will think about this at some point and go on and do a kindness for somebody else. And so you just hope that you're inspiring your kids and that you're leading by example, and that, they'll find other opportunities to help the community later on. And it's not just mom telling them to do it. It's them wanting to do it because it's the right thing and they know that it's, good for the whole community.
What's something that surprised you about how they responded, or a question that they asked you in one of those moments that came up that...
It's interesting how you get to have real world conversations with them. And so for them, they see me working, all the time. And so they know that I work hard to, support our family and also the families of, the employees that I have. So sometimes they question why other people, aren't working, or why don't they have this? And so it opens up the dialogue of not all families look the same. And, they know, for instance, that there are kids that they go to school with that may have a single parent home, and that parent is working 2 jobs, or maybe that child's being raised by their grandparents, or maybe one of those parents lost a job during Ian or during the pandemic or something. So life happens, whether it's, an illness, whether it's just, bad circumstances. And so letting them know that people who need help aren't bad people. It's not like they're not out there trying. It's that life happens, and sometimes we all need a little bit of help. And so letting them know that there are going to be points in their life where they might need help with something, whether it's homework help, whether it's financial help. I mean, I'm sure we'll get calls when they're in college going, can I have some money? But letting them know that it's not our place to judge why somebody might need assistance. It's our job to try and help make their life a little bit easier. And that can come in, different forms. There are times that we write off the care that we offer at Synergy or Thrive because it's the right thing to do, because healthcare shouldn't be something that's just dependent on how much you have in your bank account. Like, I think that as a provider, I have a duty to make sure that we take care of, people that we can take care of. And so there are absolutely times where it's like, hey, I want you to come in and I want you to get the care that you need. And I'm not really concerned about what you can pay for it right now. Let's get you better. Mm-hmm. And then, we can talk moving forward about what's going to be reasonable for you to pay for future care. And that's just the right thing to do. And, we don't have to do that very often, but there are absolutely times where, we have had patients going through cancer treatment. Cancer is so financially draining. And so you're not able to work. It costs a lot of money. You have transportation costs. You have all of these things, right, that you're dealing with. Getting an adjustment or a massage shouldn't be one of those things. Like how you're going to pay for it shouldn't be one of those concerns that you have. So, I try to lead by example with the kids, but also, try to educate them on some of the world circumstances, some of the life circumstances that happen to people that are beyond their control, so that they can develop that compassion and understanding.
How do you balance all of this? Because you're a wife, a mother.
Not always very well.
But
there are absolutely times where, for instance, I like to read to my kids at night. So my daughter is in 3rd grade, my son is in 6th grade, and reading is just a fun time where, we take 20, 30 minutes. It's great. We get to answer those questions at the end too. Like, okay, it's time for bed. And that's usually where all the questions come out, or all the comments on the day, hey, anything you want to talk about. That's when you get all the info. They will sometimes say to me, like, you're working too much, Mom, or like, what can we do this weekend? And that's usually my signal, like, okay, wait, my home life's not in balance. I'm working too much. How can I shift this? And so it's a constant struggle. Like, I don't, there are always ways that you're going, okay, what can I do better? How can I improve on something? And then there are also times where you go, okay, I just need a break. So now I'm starting to recognize, okay, I need to spend more time and make more fun memories with my family. So now we're going to travel a little bit more. We have a cruise planned over Thanksgiving to get away and really make sure that we're having those core memories, that fun. But I will tell you, it's not always easy. It's a daily thing. But I feel like that's kind of the same story for all entrepreneurs, male or female. You try and build something, and it always requires time. And as soon as you think it's like, oh, great, smooth sailing, the AC breaks, or you have to have a tough conversation with somebody, there's always something that pops up. So it's a constant balancing game. And I don't anticipate that changing. It's like, okay, now I'm spending more time on my family. Wait, something's falling through the cracks at Synergy or Thrive. Let's focus on that. So it's just the constant battle.
What do you do for your self-care? Because you hear a comment like that from your daughter or your son that says, you're working too much, and then that guilt fills your heart, and then you're recognizing that. What do you do for your own self-care?
So I don't even know if it's self-care as much as I feel like it's a nurturing moment. I make sourdough now. I'm a sourdougher. So there's something kind of fun about like baking or cooking. It's almost like meditative. So I enjoy doing that. And then, like yesterday I got an IV at Thrive. And then I had a girlfriend in town from Atlanta. So we went to the beach for a little bit. It doesn't happen that often, but I start to know when I'm feeling wiped out all the time. Okay, wait, it's time to focus again on me. And so I'll take a day off. I know it's crazy.
But your mind is still working. Oh, is it? Even when you're getting an IV there, are you able to just sit there and be still without saying, oh, what about that? Look at that. Look at, like, is your eye on everything?
Of course not.
Yeah, right.
I mean, if I put the eye massager on, then I can like block that up. But no, your mind is constantly going, but in a more toned down way where you're like, okay, this is not a super pressing moment that we need to touch up the paint here. We can get to that. I'll just file that away for later. But definitely meditation helps. So I try to make time for that at least a few times a week. And that kind of refocuses, kind of resets the adrenal glands a little bit so that I'm not just in like crazy mode all the time or like stress mode.
Where do you do that?
I usually do that like in bed, headphones on, guided meditation either before bed or like when I wake up after I've, done my Wordle for the day, had some coffee. I'll do that. And even if it's a 10-minute one, I still feel like the deep breathing is helpful because remembering to do breathing is, obviously we take 1 million breaths a day, but remembering to like really focus and do that is a challenge. So I even put alerts on my phone, like remember to breathe. All right. So yeah, but again, it's one of those things where you're constantly reminding yourself, oh wait, let me book a facial. Let me do this. Let me, take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Play some pickleball, get out there and do something. And there are definitely, times where it's easier to do that and times where it's more challenging.
And then sourdough, where does that come from in the middle of that? Because I've been hearing a lot about that lately. People are watching these recipes.
I literally have no idea. So last year it was macarons. I don't know. I get on these, it must be the ADD, but I get on these like fixations where I'm like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this better than anybody. Once I mastered that, I was like, let's move on to sourdough. Everybody's into sourdough.
Yeah.
Talk about a humbling experience. It's not bubbling enough. It's bubbling too much. So now I just cheat and put a little yeast in. But I don't know. There's something fun about like making something and creating it and being like, wow, this tastes really good. And then, we make, because my kids all help me with it too now. They like making the little markings on it and we whip up some butter. We make some homemade jam. So it's a great way to spend time with them, but also, hey, they're learning a skill that hopefully they'll remember in the future. So, they can scramble an egg, they can boil some pasta. They're fairly self-sufficient, but it's nice to spend time with them doing something like that. But it's also, I find, relaxing, oddly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's strange sometimes the things that you find relaxing.
Second person I heard in the last week who's...
Oh, yeah.
Who are people who I didn't expect to... Because it's different. It's not regular baking. I know it's really good.
I also feel like people make it sound like it's way more complicated than it is.
Yeah.
So I'm probably cutting out some steps and doing like a cheater version of it.
Yeah.
And I don't care because it still tastes delicious. It still looks amazing. Yeah. And I don't have time to like carry around a bowl of sourdough with me to make sure that I'm like folding it enough. I kind of do like, this looks good enough. So it might, this week's loaf might taste different than next week's loaf, but whatever, they still taste delicious. So yeah. So, it's fun to take it into, usually I'll bake like 5 loaves at a time. And so you keep one and then you give away some. And so, I don't know, it's just like a little party trick now. Like, I'll bring the sourdough.
Cool. Yeah, cool. I got to try some of that.
I'll bring you a loaf.
Yeah.
Some herb butter. The herb butter is like the best.
I can only imagine. Yeah, butter's great with everything.
Butter's great with everything. Yeah. But like whipping it yourself, you're like, I made, but it's not even that hard, but it's like you feel really fancy making your own whipped butter.
Yeah, that sounds fancy.
Yep.
Whipped butters. Yeah.
Watch out.
Right.
That might be my third business. I'll just open stuffed sourdough and
there you go. Yeah.
We'll be at all the farmers markets.
Next year. That's the way to start. Yeah. Yeah. What about for the home meals for your family? How do you feed everybody, or who's in charge of the
So we definitely rotate, and there are a couple of nights a week that, for instance, the kids both have stuff. So Ben is into Lego robotics, so he has that on Thursdays, and Evelyn has her rehearsal. So that might be a free for all, or it's just like we're picking something up on the way home. Otherwise, Justin and I kind of split up the cooking duties, and so there's a chicken in the fridge right now that I'm going to roast tomorrow. That's a little more I get a little fancy with my meals. And he's more of I grilled some chicken, made some broccoli and some rice, and that's what we're having, which is also great. So the best meals are the ones that I don't necessarily have to prep. So, we kind of break it up, but there are probably 1 or 2 nights a week where it's like, every man for themselves, or we're ordering in, because that just makes life easier.
Yeah.
So I'm also like, we're not going to overcomplicate our lives. I remember when I had my son, I was like, I'm making his baby food. I'm cloth diapering. I'm making the own baby wipes. I'm doing all of this. And then I was like, why? There was no prize. By the way, the people at daycare were like, can you stop making his baby food because he hates it? And I was like, why am I killing myself doing this? So there are also moments, especially I feel like as you get older, where you go, yeah, sometimes good enough is good enough.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Everybody's fed.
Yeah.
Great. We don't have to make our own purees and, have our herb whipped butter at every meal. Although no one's mad about it when we do have that herb whipped butter. So I'm just saying. So yeah, we try to balance it, but it's also like, because I do think sitting down for a family meal is so important. That's, sometimes my kids do not cooperate. They don't want to stop playing a game, or they would rather be talking to their friends or whatever. But you're like, nope, this is our time to reconnect. This is our time to talk about our days. This is our time to talk about, even world events and stuff. And it's fun now that they're older to kind of get into those conversations and be like, wow, you have a brain in there and you're communicating and you can think, and, trying to encourage them to be critical thinkers, but also good humans.
Yeah. Yeah, that matters now. Yeah, critical thinking. Yeah, that's
critical
something that
thinking
really matters.
Like, just because you see it on the internet doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Teach them how to think. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And they're in different schools now, right?
They're in different schools. One's in middle, one's in elementary. And I thought that would be like a weird change for the third grader. Oh no, she loves it. I think she's like, goodbye, older brother. I'm the one riding the bus in the morning now. I'm the only Ahasic at Veterans Memorial. So she seems to be just like morphing into this very confident little diva, which is also sometimes scary. And, you ask Ben how school is. Boring. But then he kind of smiles a little, and I'm like, oh, he's loving middle school. Yeah. He thinks he's so cool because he gets to ride a different bus. He's, learning an instrument. So it's fun to see them just sort of blossoming into nice, well-adjusted little human beings, at least for now. So, but parenting is a roller coaster. There are a lot of challenges with it, but it's also, I will say parenting these ages is much better than parenting babies. I was not like the baby mom. I was always like, they can't tell me what they want. Why are they crying? Oh, it's much nicer now to tuck them in and, have conversations and feel like this is easier now.
Yeah.
I'm sure as they get bigger kids, bigger problems, but we're in a nice little sweet spot right now where I'm like, oh, we can relax a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would your parents are still up there?
They're still up in Chicago. My in-laws have had a place down here for a while. So when we had my son, they bought a different place and now they're living there full time. So that's a little bit of a shift. Yeah. But I think they're excited about it too.
And how often do your parents come down?
Usually like twice a year, and then my kids go up during the summer. So my kids were in Illinois for like 6 weeks this summer. It's like grandma and grandpa camp.
Yeah.
And it's free summer camp, which is even better.
Yeah, that's great.
So they get to go out and, hang out with their cousins. They got to go up to a lake house in Wisconsin this year that I grew up going to every summer until I was probably 21. So it's fun that they get to have those family connections, because that was one of the hard things about moving down here was being away from family. Are they going to know their cousins? Like I said, I went to grade school with 3 first cousins. They don't have that down here, but they still have the opportunity to kind of get those relationships and really spend some quality time with their family members, which is awesome. Great. So I feel like they still will have those close relationships, and we don't have to worry about them being like, the other family in Florida. It's like, no, they're still part of the crew, which is great.
You were the 4th in the birth order. Your mother's name is?
Cindy.
Cindy. How would Cindy describe you?
Oh, gosh. Well, when I was a kid, she would have described me as probably messy. And I don't think they knew what to do with me. Now, I think it's more, I would say, driven and probably confident. Yeah, I think that's probably what she would recognize the most. But yeah, definitely I'm still maybe a little messy too. So that may pop up in the future.
Who had the biggest influence on you growing up?
Oh, that's a loaded question because I feel like there were so many influential people growing up, but my dad is also an entrepreneur. So I feel like a lot of that, a lot of me wanting to own a business kind of came from him. So seeing, his work ethic, because he's definitely a workaholic, still is. I mean, he probably should have retired 6 or 7 years ago, but my brother has now taken over the business and he kind of assists my brother with it. He definitely was an influence, but, so were my siblings, and, for good and bad, either we got along really well and we had a lot of fun, or it was like, wait, why don't I get to hang out with the older kids or do other stuff? But I also think recognizing some of the strengths in my siblings and knowing, for instance, I was never going to be the star athlete, maybe pushed me in some other directions than what they were doing. So going more into, being in the plays at school, or, being the president of the student council, or like the editor of the paper, like other things that my siblings didn't do, I feel like maybe I did so that I could set myself apart, which was, who knows if that was good or bad, but I think it kind of shifted directions for me and let me go, oh, wait, I can do this. Oh, wait, now what? What's next? What's next? And I feel like that's kind of my life motto, is like, what's next? Will I ever be satisfied with, good enough? No, I'm probably always going to try and do better, be better, find the next project. And so that probably came a little bit from sibling rivalry, going, okay, wait, I'm scared of the basketball. I'm not going to be, getting a college scholarship for athletics. So yeah, probably my siblings and my dad, and obviously my mom as well, but just all of them are influential in different ways, so there are different aspects of personality or, life choices that I can kind of trace back to, even different teachers where you're like, oh, wait, this is a possibility. I might be able to do this in the future, and not knowing it before that person's impact in your life. So yeah, I've been fortunate to be around some really cool people. Even my father-in-law, actually, who's the original Dr. Ahasic. He was my dentist growing up. Now, I didn't know my husband, obviously, although he was 3 years older than me. So there was always a Halloween skating party that his dental office put on. And Justin was always like the fastest one around the skating rink. And, all the girls thought he was super cute. I won the best costume as a bride when I was 6. A little foreshadowing there for you. But I remember going to Europe when I had just graduated from 8th grade, and it wasn't an opportunity that my parents were like, yeah, we're footing the whole bill for this. It was like, you need to raise some money for it. And he was somebody, there was no real connection to my family except that we were patients at his office, me and, the million other relatives that I have in Aurora. He wrote me a check, and that check made it possible for me to go to Europe. And that was something that always stuck with me. And it was him, and it was several other business owners, but it was like, what an impact that made on my life. And so even when I got a little bit older, my sister started working there as a hygienist. My oldest sister, my youngest sister worked there as an assistant. My sister-in-law worked there as an assistant. There was a lot happening at Fairview Dental. And so it was kind of a weird thing that Justin and I got set up on a blind date, but I was so grateful to have these amazing in-laws because, again, remembering his generosity years ago, and also seeing, there were so many times that I saw his generosity that he probably didn't realize, and I saw him making a difference in the community, and I was like, I have to be like that. That's what I want to be like in practice. And so even though we were not, exactly close growing up, he was my dentist, there was a lot of influence there in going like, wow, you can do a lot, in your community without really saying anything. Like nobody else knew that he gave me money to go to Europe. I knew, my parents knew, but that was something that he just quietly did. It was this quiet generosity and, quiet leadership that also really stuck with me. And so I've been really grateful to him over the years because, my dad runs a concrete company. It's a different venue than, being in healthcare. And so fortunately, the original Dr. Ahasic has been able to kind of guide me and help me with some different things. And so that's been really nice too.
Wow.
Yeah. Kind of a bizarre my other sister, so not the one that worked at the dentist office, went to her first high school dance with my husband.
Oh, is that right?
Is this crazy? And it turns out that the brother, the guy that she married, also went to a high school dance, but with the other sister. There was a lot of Catholic families in Aurora really stick together. Justin on our second date, we went to like a family gathering, and he had gone to school with two of my brother-in-laws, and the third brother-in-law has an older brother that was in the class. So it was very bizarre that we didn't meet until our late 20s, and yet we had all these family connections, and it just made it really effortless to kind of blend our families. So it's nice that our parents are friends. It's nice that, all the in-laws get along and get together. So it's kind of fun. That was the tangent awesome. You didn't know you needed, right? That was the backstory.
No, that's great.
There's
always a story.
No idea. There's always a story.
Yeah, and it's great. He was your
small
dentist.
Town.
Yeah.
He was my dentist.
Beautiful.
Then he retired, and I had to find another dentist when I was like 38.
Probably
I'm like,
traumatic.
This is awful.
Right.
How can you do this to me?
Yeah, you have that connection forever. Yeah. How about a movie or a book that has impacted you over the course of your life?
Oh, I am a big reader. So love. Now, sometimes I read, children's fiction. Sometimes I read, the great epic novel. Sometimes trashy books, but also I get some self-help books in there.
Yeah.
So Glennon Doyle, oh my gosh. It's not We Can Do Hard Things, but she always says that. And that was one I listened to, because if I listen to like a self-help book or if I read it, I will fall asleep. So I have to listen to them on audiobook.
Yeah, I do that.
And that was such an amazing book about shifting perspective and, realizing like, hey, hard stuff isn't happening to you. It's not like, oh, you deserve this. It's about our reaction to it and how we can turn it around and how we can do hard things. And it's going to help us grow. And that was just it seemed like it was a message that came up at the right time, because it was like, oh, Irma happened, COVID happened, Ian happened, whoa. And it was like, yeah, okay, this is a little test, and there's going to be something good that comes out of it. And let's figure out the opportunity here. Like, what can we make better in this situation? And fortunately, good came out of it. There were ways to help people. There were moments to go, okay, what are we grateful for? What is still going well? And what can we do to turn this around? And so having a little shift sometimes, and knowing that other people have been through hard things and they've gotten through and they've succeeded and they're better because of it, was the message I needed to hear at that time.
And that was is it the author is that the name?
The author is Glennon Doyle.
Okay.
She's married to Abby Wambach, and they used to live here in Naples. And I was so bummed, because by the time I realized that, they moved. And I was like, no, Glennon and I would have been really good. I feel like we would have been besties had we met.
Wow.
And now they have a really cool podcast. And so I listen to the podcast a lot. And, sometimes it goes a little bit like, whoa, that was like deeper. I'm going to need to wrap my brain around that concept. But also some of the people they have on, you're just like, wow, that's incredible. I've had little bumps along the way. I haven't had, major pitfalls along the way, and seeing people who really, truly, you can describe as resilient, you're like, whoa, that's inspiring. If they can overcome that, I can overcome a little thing like a hurricane.
Yeah.
I can overcome a little thing like waiting to have build out.
Yeah.
So it's good for that healthy dose of perspective.
Yeah.
A little shift.
Yeah, which is, so necessary at times when you get it in your head about what seems like the end of the world. And when you can shift the perspective and see it another way.
And sometimes it's much easier said than done, right? Like, find the good.
Yeah,
sometimes you need to wallow in it. Sometimes you need to have that moment of like,
feel that pain. Yeah.
Oh, this is so frustrating, and why. And then it's like, okay, the pity party's over. Let's work on the next step.
Because you have to, because there's no other option.
Especially when you own a business, there is no other option, because the other option would be just to close your doors, and that's not realistic either. So
you find a way.
It's just life. Life has lots of twists and turns and all the stuff, and it's just, navigating it. And I absolutely agree with what you said earlier about surrounding yourself with those people. And I've started to do more and more of that. Like, who are the people that inspire me? Who are people living in a way that I want to live? You know, they're on purpose. They have some of those answers. Who's guiding me? Who's helping me? And I have some of those people. And it's, you go out to lunch with them and you're just like, mind blown. But it motivates, it energizes you, and you go, yep, I'm taking this away, this away, this away. Sometimes I take notes after a conversation where I'm like, I got to remember that. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I have a powerhouse friend, Chantra. I talk to her and sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, whoa, where did that come from? But she gets it. And so I definitely find that the more I meet those people, the more people like that I meet. And it's like, oh, and so some of your social contracts shift a little bit, you know, certain friendships you go, I'm not getting much out of this. You know, when the people are only texting you because they need something and, you know, not, hey, how are you? You go, okay, I don't think that's fulfilling for me anymore. I think it's time to go for those relationships that are fulfilling because life's too short. I'm too busy. You're too busy. We don't need those relationships.
No, yeah.
And there are different friendships. You know, there are the more superficial ones, and that's fine to go to dinner every now and again. But, you know, on those days where you need a little pick-me-up, or on those days when you want to be that to someone else, you want those authentic people, those authentic relationships. And, you know, you want to become better as a result of it. So I feel like I'm constantly hanging out with people that are more successful than I am, that seem to have more of those answers. And I'm just like, yes, give me your wisdom.
Yeah.
Let's figure this out, because I feel like the moment you stop growing, you're in trouble.
Yeah. And there's something special about having those people around, because even though you don't know you need it, sometimes you spend time with them and then all of a sudden you leave a better person than when you saw them. And it's always like that. There's just always some insight that happens in your interaction with them. I have some people that I work with that, gosh, I could spend 5 minutes with them and I just feel like I have a whole new perspective on everything in life. And I didn't even ask for it. It wasn't even something I knew I needed. But when I leave, I'm like, wow, just so grateful to have that person in my life. And
then alternatively, there are the people that you spend 5 minutes with and it feels like you've spent 5 hours with them and you're totally drained.
Yeah.
And those are the ones where you're like, okay, there are times where everybody goes through a hard time. They need a friend, all of that. But when that's their constant pattern, you're like, I can't be around it. I have to just like shut it off and shift. And so that's, again, one of those lessons where, you know, friendships change, you know, stuff shifts and you just kind of go, okay, what's my priority now? And that's part of, you know, growing and figuring out what you want. And, you know, I want those meaningful relationships. I want the people that I can talk to. I want the people that I can learn from. And, you know, I hope that's kind of how it always is. But it's also so amazing when you meet those people and you're just like, I want you to be my best friend.
Yeah.
Like, where have you been? And like, how can I be more like you? Because this is amazing. And so it's also like, okay, we can always be improving.
Well, it goes back to synergy. I love that word. That was my father who founded this business, who was a true entrepreneur, 8th grade high school dropout, but just always found a way to make things
incredible,
work.
though. Wow.
It just was had a mind on him that, you know, not only was creative because he loved artistry as a stylist, but also he had a business mind on him that was very shrewd and street smart. But synergy was his finale as a business person. It kind of went out. He created this haircut called Synergy, and it was became this word that I never knew the meaning of, that now I love so much, because one of the promotions that we do is called 1 + 1 = 3. You buy 2 products, you get a third. You buy 2 products, you get a third free. But synergy is 1 + 1 = 3. It's, you know, the sum.
Yes.
And you know, when you put good people together, when you and Holly are together, there's a spark that gets created between the two of your minds that's unique and special, and, you know, has her honor you the way you honor her, and just she, you know, the way she thinks the world of you.
But she has so many strengths that I do not have, and so it's also, you know, I'm constantly asking for her for advice on things, but it's so nice to have another, you know, we're similar ages. I'm a little older. But we've kind of had some of these similar paths where it's like, oh my gosh, is the world falling down on me? And the other one's there to say, you're going to be fine. And here's what we need to look at. And so sometimes having that outside perspective and that outside person to go, no. What you're thinking right now in your head, that's fine. You can have your pity party, but that's not what the world sees. And that's not who you are. And that's not what your business is. And this is how we're going to get through that. Because, sometimes that negative talk, that self-doubt creeps in. And I think that's a normal thing. We can say all we want, that we, are confident all the time and we have all the answers. And that's not true. I feel like anybody that tells you they have all the answers is probably trying to sell you something. So it's nice when you don't have those answers to have the people that you can talk to and, bounce ideas off of. And, but no, I'm so grateful for that with her. And I'm grateful for Chandra. And I'm also grateful for the teachers that can let me know what their students need and what the needs are so that we can make sure that we're fulfilling that. But so many of these things you don't know if you're not curious. And so also asking the questions is so important because it's, I'm probably a little nosier than I need to be, but there are times where I find out somebody goes to school and I'm asking them the questions like, what do your students need? How's your year going? What's happening? Because those teachers may be struggling a lot and there are constantly budget cuts or they have disruptive students or they have something. And it's like, what can we do to make your life a little bit easier so that you're at your best for teaching so that you can inspire these students? And so being curious and asking the questions really does go a long way. And I think sometimes we have these superficial conversations and you need to kind of peel that back a little bit and get to the bigger issues, the bigger problems, and not be afraid to ask those questions.
Yeah. That's where the real fulfillment is anyway, when you're getting underneath that layer of pretenses of, everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Everything's great. My life is perfect. Have you seen my Instagram?
Right.
My Instagram, thank God I have a marketing team because otherwise it wouldn't exist. So I'm glad for that because that is not, social media is not in my skill set. Yeah. My kids probably know more about it than I do. Right. They're not even on it. There's just, there's so many layers to unravel with everything, right? The people, the problems, the community. And so it's also kind of a fun puzzle to try and put together. And so I kind of like to see it as, okay, where do we fit in with this? And what can we do to hopefully help make this area better? And that's, even our tagline is like making Naples better. It's great because we're helping people with their health and wellness. And, the synergy of having multiple providers. If I don't have the answer as a chiropractor, maybe my nurse practitioner does, maybe the PT does. But I also find that when people combine all of those things, they get better more quickly. That's great. Health and wellness is wonderful. But what about also making an impact outside of that? And that's where, finding those things, figuring out where the problems are and hopefully, making a small impact can, inspire some bigger things in the community. So that's where I'm hoping our synergy is with just overall that 1 + 1 is 3. And it's not just health and wellness. It's, making sure that people have what they need and supporting them and hopefully inspiring that good karma to keep going.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of karma. I'm
karma,
like,
yeah.
All right, let's put the good stuff out there.
As a person who was in drama in high school, were you in drama in high school? Plays?
Gee, is that surprising?
Yeah. What would, if your life was a movie, what would the opening soundtrack be?
Oh. I mean, I feel like it would have to be some powerhouse Broadway song sung by Idina Menzel, just because that's what I want it to be. Something that says, hey, there's a big explosive ending, coming and, all the good things will come on out from it. Man, you asked some serious questions here. I also love that, like, if you asked like a favorite book, I have so many, and it's like, I'm so indecisive on like, well, it's like asking for favorite pizza. It's like, well, what kind of pizza are we talking about? Are we talking about a thick crust? Are we talking about a thin crust? Are we talking about a
from
chain?
Chicago, you got to know. Yeah.
Mexican food. Are we talking Tex-Mex? Are we talking authentic? What are we talking about here? And so I also need all the details, and I'm a Virgo who likes to overanalyze it before I give my answer. Right. So I'll get back to you on the soundtrack of my life later.
But you mentioned pizza, though. So being from Chicago, what's the...
Okay, so I worked at a pizza place. So my favorite pizza is still Ach and Lou's Pizza, a little, mom and pop shop. Loved it. Ate that all the time growing up. I found nothing like that down here. So I get the frozens when I go back up north and bring them down. Otherwise, again, it depends because I like Mr. O1 if I can eat it there. I like their thin crust style. Jets is a family favorite. We get that 8-corner. Yes, it's a chain. I don't care. La Petito, and you know what? Rosati's not so bad. They're
Rosati's
Chicago.
has a thick.
They have a thin crust.
Oh, they have a thin.
They do have a deep dish. It's not my favorite. Don't tell them I said that. Joey D's has the best deep dish.
Oh, Joey D's has a deep dish. I didn't know
Joey
that.
D's has a deep dish. Yeah. It's delicious. You know, but again, I'm also sometimes outnumbered in my family where they're like, not Rosati's again. Let's get La Petito. And I like La Petito as well. But then the toppings change. You know, so much goes into that crust that you're like, it's a soggy crust. You can't have a lot of toppings. So be warned.
So when you go back to Chicago, do you go to your go-to place?
Usually on the way from the airport. You know, we'll pick one up to go. And actually, one of the people who owned it when I worked there sold it, but now came back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go in and say hello. But because also he was such a great boss. And that's one of those things too, is, you know, working, because, you know, I waitressed, I nannied, I did all the jobs that you do when you're working through school. You know, there were people that make an impact even there. Like, I remember babysitting for somebody and she's like, if I don't think of you as a friend, why would I have you watch my children? And that kind of stuck with me when finding, you know, childcare for my own kids. Like, okay, let's make sure I like this person, but also that they're a responsible human being and I'm going to come back and my house is going to be fine. But, you know, seeing the way that bosses, there were some that were not very good and there were some that were amazing. And so taking away those things, you know, I think, again, can help motivate, you know, your employees and help. And, you know, even having my sisters all working at my father-in-law's practice, knowing the things that he did for his employees, I stole a lot of those ideas. And I was like, great, let's make sure we have a happy group here, because that's when people are going to work their best. That's when they're going to, you know, feel their best about coming in. Yeah. You don't want the people coming in going, oh, I hate my job. I hate my job. I hate my job.
Right. Yeah. They love what they do. They're going to be happy. You're going to have great, happy guests because they're happy being there. Yeah.
And we're really fortunate with that. Like, we've had a lot of employees that have been there, you know, 7-8 years and they're amazing. And I can't imagine the practice without them. And so I hope I never have to. And then there are some that you just go, I'm not sure this is going to work out. You know, you usually also have that like intuitive feeling of like, let's see. And sometimes they surprise you. Yeah. And sometimes they don't. And you go, okay, the good of the team is at stake here. It's time to move on.
Yeah, when the honeymoon wears off and then that 12th week comes
and you're like, how many grandmas did you have? Because I think 6 of them have died in the last 5 weeks. That must be so hard for you and your family.
Where do they come up with all these? I know, and they think you don't see that. You don't. Yeah. You've been to how many funeral? Like, how many grandmothers could somebody actually have?
Yes.
Or how many flat tires can one car have?
I know. Is there a lot of construction in your neighborhood right now? Like, what's happening? Yeah. I remember there was one who would call out every month with cramps, and it wasn't a big deal, but it was just like, okay, if you know that every single month on the 28th, you're going to call it with, how about we proactively get coverage for that? Yeah. No. That was like a crazy concept. And I was just like, oh my gosh, let's all just not play these games. Let's all be adults. It's amazing sometimes how you have to remind people who are older than you to act like adults.
Yeah. Well, maybe never. They're never getting the message. If they haven't gotten it by now. Yeah. Yeah. But maybe we have hope and we're optimists and we think that we're going to have that impact that's going to have them shift. And then some of them do.
Some of them do. Some of them do. And then there are the ones that, like, you know, move away for life, right? I had somebody move away, you know, to be closer to his wife's family, which I understand. Unfortunately, it's like 3 states away, so it's not like he can commute. I still miss him. I still send him text messages and say, how's it going? How's life? We come back. When are you coming back? Because usually if they leave, they come back. I'm like, they always come back. So I'm waiting for him to move back to Florida. Maybe one of these days.
Yeah. Well, you have that relationship built, so someday maybe they
someday
will.
Maybe. Yeah. But he was just one of those, you know, unicorn employees who was just So amazing. But one of those people that I don't think there was a single patient or anybody on staff who could say anything but positive things about. And that's an amazing person.
Yeah.
I never heard him speak badly about anybody. And he was just such a quiet, kind leader. And I mean, that was inspirational for me to be like, wow, this is a guy who has it together. And he was somebody that I wasn't going to hire. He was like 19 at the time. And I'm like, I'm not hiring a male massage therapist who's just out of school. This seems like a bad... And then I had to take it all back. I was like, no, he's amazing.
Isn't that
wow.
cool? Isn't that cool?
What a great presence. So yeah, he was one I definitely ugly cried when he left.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about that is now, like, he's 3 states away, but your heart and your way had an impact on him. And he's now delivering your way of life.
Oh, I hope so.
Somewhere else. Yeah,
And
that's cool.
see, I don't know how much
thing.
of an impact I made on him. I feel like he made such an impact on me, which is awesome when you have those people, especially if, you're kind of the leader of the organization. You expect that, you're supposed to be the one leading and doing all the things. And it's so great when somebody just has this amazing personality that you're just like, wow. Yeah. You're awesome.
Well, you created a space that allowed him to be more of him, which I think is really cool, because I think that's one of the roles that I have to play for people as artists, people who work here are artists, is if I give them that space that they get to be more of themselves, worry less about what's going on at home, worry less about their bills, can fully create, can be here and be present and love where they are. They can be more of themselves. And you did that for him. He allowed him to be who he is supposed to be in the world in a way that, maybe other environments didn't. So he became him.
I mean, I love that if that's the case.
No, that's absolutely it. You really, you did. You gave him that. That's the gift of you creating the environment that you've created, which is awesome. When you have people there 5, 6, 7 years, which is unheard of in this day and age. It's not a normal thing.
And there are also ones that you have to let go fairly quickly because you can see the negative impact that it's having on
the 5, 6, and 7 year employees who have been there and know the culture. And
so you want to give people the opportunity. You want to give them the feedback they need to improve. But then, there are also people who they're not going to care in any position that they're in at any organization, and you can usually see it on their resume. They bounce around every 6 to 9 months, and you're like, there's probably a reason for that. Now, there are also places that you leave because it's toxic, and I understand that.
Home.
But then there are also times where you're like, maybe it's you.
Yeah.
So
you're
maybe
the common thread here. Yeah.
Work on that a little bit. Not that I ever tell them that, but there are times where you go, I don't think this is us. But then there are also moments where you can self-reflect and go, okay, if this is us, what can we do better? And so you also have to just constantly be trying to make it better and figure out where things can improve. But I think that's another entrepreneur thing is it's like, okay, bigger, better. Where are we at with this? But also not so big that you can't handle it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many things to think about, aren't there?
Yeah. You got more than 2 children.
3. Oh my God. Thank God I don't have more than 2 children. That's why I got a dog. I was like, I can't have another baby. Maybe I can handle a dog.
Speaking of your dog, you have a special dog.
I do. Murphy.
I thought I was going to get to meet Murphy. I thought maybe you'd bring Murphy here today.
Murphy has bladder stones. So Murphy sometimes pees everywhere. So now he doesn't get to go to the office as often because it's not great when he has accidents. Murphy is a little Yorkie poo. He's very cute.
Oh, the greatest. We have a Morkie, so they're in the same family.
Except that he barks, and his bark might be the most piercing thing to my soul. And he only barks at me. He knows that I was the one that was like, yeah, let's get a dog. And so for my husband, he just like looks at him or he'll like scratch him a little to be like, I'm hungry. I want to go outside. We even have those buttons where it's like you hit it and it says playtime or outside. No, he just barks. It's like a crying child. And you're like, what do you want?
He knows
I took you outside. Yeah. You've been fed. What do you want from me? And so there are times where he's just as exasperating as a child. But he also, sleeps at the foot of my bed and he's adorable. And he also seems to know when I've had a day and he just wants to, sit at my feet. And so it's also amazing how intuitive dogs can be where they know what you need.
Yeah, they're smart. Yeah.
They know what you need. So he was our little mascot for a while until, the bladder stones. I know.
So he doesn't get to hang out at the office
He doesn't
as
get
much.
to come in as much unless he's like getting groomed. And, I guess I could put a diaper on him, but that seems humiliating. I don't know if his self-esteem could handle that. So we'll just, keep him at the house most of the time.
How big is he?
He's he's
8?
a little overweight. He should be like 12 pounds, and I think he's like 16. So every time we go to the vet.
Yorkie poo. Or is it York? Is it
A Yorkie
poo?
Mm-hmm.
Yorkie poo. Okay.
So that Yorkie, he looks like a little mini golden doodle, so he doesn't look as Yorkie, but my in-laws have a sister. So they're from the same litter, and she looks more Yorkie, but she doesn't bark as much. So I'm like...
He just expresses himself more, that's all.
There's always that trade-off. But he's really cute. Anytime we go out of town, my massage therapists are like, I'll watch him. No, I'll watch him. No, it's my turn. And so I have to like keep a schedule and keep it fair so that they can take turns watching the dog.
He's popular, yeah.
I know. It's not even like they're sucking up to me. They just want to suck up to Murphy.
Well, they know who's in charge. Murphy's in charge.
Uh-huh. And he behaves much better when I'm not there. So if they bring him into the office, he sits quietly by their rooms and doesn't seem to do anything. When I'm there, he will bark at me. So... between peeing and barking, he's not an office dog anymore.
Yeah, he knows you're the one that's gotta take care of him. Yeah, you're the one. Our dog, Boo Boo, is like that with my wife. Doesn't bark, but she will scratch. Like, hey, pay attention to me. Hey, tell him to feed me. Hey, But with me, she doesn't. She just she knows. I love her just as much, but with Michelle, she's like. If we get too comfortable on the couch, she's like, hey, I don't know. I think you go get me a treat. And Michelle's like, you got to go get her a treat. All right, I get her a treat. She runs the house. Boo Boo runs the house. So,
Sounds like Murphy. My husband I'll walk in the door and he immediately starts barking. And he's like, literally, he didn't bark the entire day.
Yeah.
It's you.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Boo Boo's the same. She won't bother me about anything. I'll be working from home and Michelle will get home and she'll start. I'm like, I just took her out 10 minutes ago, so I know she doesn't have to go out.
I'm like, did you take her out? Or did you take him out? And he's like, I just did. He pooped, he peed, he did all the things. Just wants attention.
Yeah, that's exactly
just
it.
Just wants attention.
She'll say, she wants you off your phone. You got to get off your phone. Okay, I'll get off my phone. If Boo Boo wants me off the phone, I'll get off my phone. Whatever it is. Boo doesn't like it. She wants my attention. That's what she is. She's the princess. She's got these harnesses that prove that she's a princess with little diamond studs on them, and she's...
Oh, I love that for her.
She's groomed princess.
Does she get the bows in her hair
occasionally
when she gets groomed?
On holidays?
Good.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But just
I do like when
look.
Yorkies have like the little punky ponytail.
Yeah.
I think you should put some tinsel in her fur.
Yeah, that would fit. I know that would be good for her.
You should absolutely work on that part.
She would look good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we let, we're very dog friendly everywhere, so we love to have them animals in here. So we could do that for tinsel for dogs. Yeah,
tinsel for dogs.
Yeah.
A little dye in their fur.
Yeah. They're doing that now. I know
they are doing that now, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
This is a look. I don't know that Murphy would appreciate it. He doesn't even like when he gets the little scarf at the groomer, but he looks so cute when he gets groomed. But dogs
she gets her hair done and she comes to the house and does it. So she gets groomed better than most women do.
Better.
She gets her hair done. Yeah, she's just
the
princess. Boo Boo's runs the house. So she's I know what that world is like. She was at the vet yesterday. She got an ear infection and
they always have a ear infection. I think that's like a Yorkie thing, isn't it?
And the bladder stones. She's had issues with her pancreatitis.
Oh, gee.
We're feeding her, and we have to give her organic chicken and cooked in Kerrygold butter, and that's when she eats better. And then
is it herbed Kerrygold butter? Maybe you should.
As long as it doesn't have garlic
herbs.
in it, she does like she's more Italian oriented, so she does like garlic, but we can't give her garlic.
No, it's bad for the dogs.
I know
the amount of things that are bad for dogs is also like. I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a book on this because I have to Google it all the time. Oops, I dropped that on the floor. He just ate it.
Right.
Is this an emergency? He ate cookies at the office once, and so I texted my friend who is a vet at the Humane Society, and he's like, "What kind of chocolate was it?" I was like, "Dark chocolate." How many did he eat? So I'm asking my staff because it was a bag of those like Matt's Heavenly Hunks from Costco, right? They taste like cookie dough. They're delicious. The bag was almost gone, but I didn't know. And nobody had a single one. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this dog has just eaten 24 of these. Of course, the next day, after he has his stomach pumped, Well, I think I ate 2 or 3. So I'm like, he probably only ate one of them, and we just had to put him through this, but he's never going to eat those again.
Oh, wow. That's scary. Yeah.
Scary. Yeah. Fortunately, he's still around, and now we have signs all over that say, do not leave food on the table.
Yeah.
The amount of rules in the staff room, like, no, clean up after yourselves. We don't need bugs.
Yeah.
Let's go.
She is too finicky. She will just, if it's not...
If it's not cooked in Kerrygold butter, she's not going to eat it.
We have to give her these, the heartworm thing pill, and you have to cut it up so fine because we try to sneak it in the food, and she could sniff it out in a minute. She knows. We literally have to have filet once a month that is supposed to be for us, but she ends up eating it because it's the only way we can give her the heartworm pill, because she's like, she can't sniff it out of filet, but she can sniff it out of everything else. She's
oh my gosh.
Spoiled. She's
okay. Yours is worse than mine.
Yeah.
Yours wins.
Yeah,
they should meet up with each other. They might really get along well. I'll have a tinsel party for them.
Yeah. Boo Boo and Murph. Yeah.
Boo Boo and Murph. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is your playlist like when you're late night cramming, or when you're?
I am a Broadway nerd. And, so there are times where if my daughter is in a show, I mean, I wouldn't, like, there's a reason I never had a singing role in the musicals in high school, right? But doesn't mean I don't like singing in my car. So, if I'm in the car with the kids, it's, whatever they want to listen to. But, like right now, it's K-pop Demon Hunters. Get on board that. It's actually amazing. It's probably one of the top, the golden song from have you watched this?
No. Tell me.
I was like, I'm not watching this. And then my husband watched it with the kids, and he's like, it's actually really good. And then a girlfriend was like, oh my God, you guys have to like watch this. And I was like, and then of course I'm like everyone else who's like, and then I'm like, oh my God, we're going up. Like, this is going to be my Halloween costume. So we'll listen to that in the car if my daughter's in there. Otherwise, I like a lot of Broadway songs. So if she's in a play, we might be listening to those songs.
Yeah.
And then if my son's in the car, it's a lot of like Imagine Dragons and stuff. And then if it's more like I'm doing work on stuff, I might be listening to like a podcast or an audiobook or something, trying to like feed my brain instead of just listening to all the random
What are a
stuff.
couple artists? Because I keep a playlist of everybody I've had on the podcast of a sampling of some artists of.
I'm like a true blue, like Broadway queen. I like, my Idina. So I might be listening to Wicked or Hamilton or like Dear Evan Hansen. So a lot of the really, popular Broadway shows, but you're just like, yes, this is firing me. I don't know. There's something about the Wicked soundtrack, the original one, not the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
It's much better. For Good from Wicked, for instance, I'm like, yes, what a beautiful song of friendship.
Okay, good.
So, yeah.
So you're the second, because Kristen Corey we had on the podcast from the Gulf Shore Playhouse, and all of hers was just, she was humming, singing some of them.
It's, they get into your head, and you're just like, yes. And I don't know, there's something about like, you get that little break where you're like experiencing what the characters in the, musical are thinking about or going through. And that's just one of those little friendship songs, because so many songs are, love songs or whatever. And this is like a good, like, girl power. Hey, we have differences, but we're still good. We still get along. And, my life has changed because you were in it. And I think that's such a powerful message. Even if somebody's, in your life for a little bit, there's still that powerful impact that can happen. Or there are the people that are in your life forever, and you're like, yes, you're going to be in my life forever. But, there are so many shifts in life that it's nice to recognize those moments where you're like, somebody made an impact on me, and it's going to stay with me forever, and I'm better because of it. Because that doesn't always happen. So when it does, you got to recognize it. You got to get excited about it.
What's the K-pop show? Where
K-pop Demon Hunters.
K-pop. Where would I see that?
They fight demons, obviously.
Where do you see that?
I think it's on Netflix.
Netflix? Okay. All right.
Yes.
Got to check it out. Okay.
These songs are very catchy, so you will watch it a second time.
Okay.
Maybe a third time.
Okay.
If you watch it a fourth time, you should probably talk to somebody. But it's entertaining. It's what all the 8-year-old girls are listening to. Although I will say, my husband and son sat on the couch and they watched it too.
Yeah.
So my son likes to make fun of it, like he's too cool. But I'm like, I see you bopping along to these songs. So way to pretend. Even because we watch America's Got Talent on Mondays and Tuesdays, and like one of the girls who's like one of the front runners has like a little. There are two guys that sing in their kitchen, and they have a different guest on every week, and it might be somebody famous, might not be. She sang it, and it was like, what? Because it sounds like a fake voice. You're like, nobody can hit those notes.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's an actual K-pop group. Didn't even know K-pop was a thing.
Yeah.
And now we know that they also fight demons. So.
Oh, and they fight demons.
They fight demons, obviously. That's why they're demon hunters. I mean, powerful story about girl power and fighting the demons. The random things that come up, but man, they're making a lot of money out of it. It's going to be like the big Halloween cut. You're going to have girls coming in here wanting purple hair.
Okay. All right. Well, good. I got to get on these trends then. I didn't know. Zach didn't tell me about
purple tinsel at least. Yeah. So yeah, it's a big deal. Now you're in the know.
When you're not fighting demons in the car, what's the podcast that you'll have on?
Sometimes they're like mindless ones, right? Yeah. Like Armchair Expert or...
what is that? I've heard somebody else has told me about that.
That's one with Dax Shepard. And then there's the one that has Sean Hayes and Jason Bateman and, oh my gosh, the guy that was married to Amy Poehler. Will Arnett.
Okay.
Smart List. That's what that one's called. Okay. And it's just, they interview different people. It's fun. Sometimes they're celebrities. Sometimes they're, political people. And so it's just fun to get a different perspective. But it's also, if I'm doing work and I'm just sort of half listening and not fully listening, I feel like I'm not missing out on
you don't have
all
to
that's
stop
happening
it
in the world. Yeah,
okay,
I'm like, okay, whatever. They're, talking about an upcoming movie or something. Mm-hmm. And then, Glennon Doyle is the other one. We Can Do Hard Things is a fun one to listen to because she has some really cool, especially like a lot of women on it, but, talking about the challenges of motherhood, talking about running a business, talking about just mental health in general, which is, when you're doing all the things, it's important to make sure that you are taking that time to like, okay, let's take a time out, but also make sure that you're reacting to things the way that you should be. So not overreacting, but also making sure that you're giving thought to why your reactions are a certain way. And so it's nice to hear from some of these, therapists or, sometimes they have celebrities on and stuff, but it's one of those where I might hear a few tidbits that I go, oh, well, there we go. I got to add that to the things I need to think about. And so it's nice to get a little shift in perspective. Or I listen to the news. I don't know. I listen to too many things in my car where you're just like, okay, I also want to be up on world events. So fitting in all the things to listen to or sing to, it's just very complicated. Yeah. It's a whole other facet of the world.
Yeah, but you're shuttling around a lot in the car because you got to take the kids to...
Yes. Fortunately, my husband does most of it, but it's also like, my daughter does... NPAC is right by my office. So I'm like, okay, cool. I can get some work done and then pick her up. And so then, we rock out on the way home. It's not anything anybody else wants to listen to, but we think we do a pretty good job. So we have fun. But it's fun to see her, kind of blossoming and, being interested in the shows like I was growing up because I think it is so great for her confidence. And girls in that age group, it's like, it can be a little scary. I worry less about my son in that age group. I worry more about my daughter and some of the outside influences that can impact her. So making sure that she can express herself and making sure that she feels really confident, I think is so important because, there are kids that are so influenced by social media and TikTok and YouTube and everything else that you're like, you don't need to be an 8-year-old in a hurry to grow up to be a 16-year-old. You don't need makeup. You don't need a 20-step skincare routine with the Korean glass masks. I'm like, you have perfect skin. Yeah. Why are we? So it's nice for her to have a different, more creative outlet and be a little less focused on some of the superficial stuff, So it's fun. And then we get to sing in the car on the way home. So great. We're both happy. I read a research article recently, though, that said, singing in a car or, singing out loud really does, raise your dopamine levels. And I was like, great. This is nature's antidepressant right here.
Well, sure. And it doesn't judge you at all either.
It doesn't judge me. Nobody is listening. Right. Which is a good thing. So, yes. So, sing away as bad as it is in your car and you'll feel a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That dopamine hit. Why not? Yeah. I know. It's like doing the whole body cryo. You go in and you're like, boom, I accomplished something. I feel great for the rest of the day.
Because that's a dopamine hit too, right?
Yeah. And you sleep better. You burn a ton of calories.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's also the first time you do it, you're like, what? I'm sorry. Why am I in a chamber that's negative 160 degrees? This doesn't seem like a great idea. And then halfway through, you're listening to K-pop Demon Hunters and you're like, yeah, this is amazing. And then you get out and you're like, whoa, I did it. I feel amazing. And then you sleep really well that night. And then the next day you wake up and you're hungry because you burned so many calories. So just saying.
And I heard you say that it's different from a cold plunge in that you can get the head too, or it's the
head is in there as well. And there's so many cold receptors on the head that it's more effective that way. So you can do the cold plunge. And, I think that's a great affordable way for people to do that at home. But most people don't put their head under, or they stay in them for too long. And so if you're staying in a cold plunge for 4, 5, 6 minutes, you start to get adrenal fatigue. So your body's like, nope, this isn't what I want to do. And it gets stressed out. And then you release more cortisol. And then all of a sudden, you're not getting the calorie burn because your body's like, I need every single calorie to protect myself from hypothermia. And so it can have some adverse reactions. So I like the stability and the temperature control of the nitrogen-based, or, even an electric cryotherapy chamber a little bit better just because you're limited to the 3 minutes. And we can control the temperature. So, you can go negative 160 all the way down to negative 220. But it's that controlled environment where you're also getting the head involved and you're going to get a better physiological response with your body with it. So it does make a difference.
What's the time in that? How long would
3 minutes is the max. I had a girlfriend do it yesterday. She lasted like a minute and a half. It was her first time. She was a little bit nervous. I'm like, cool, we'll start with a minute and a half. Thumbs up if you want to stay in, thumbs down if you don't. We get to like hit the button and talk to you while you're in there and be like, you doing okay? There's a little timer at the top. There's also a temperature at the top so you can see how cold it is, how much time you have left. And then you get to pick your song to rock out to. So people go in there, they dance, they have a good time. And usually once they do it, they go, oh, that wasn't so bad. And then they come back in and do it again. So, but it's so great for muscle recovery and everything as well. But I like anything that you're like, oh, wow, this improves your mood too. Cool, let's do it. So it's a lot of fun.
Sometime we might have to do an on-site thing, Zach, where we go to over there.
I think you're going to have to. I mean, you guys have your little scratch-off cards. Though if I need to bring more of those in, let me know. Yeah. So everybody can at least do a revive service, which would be the cryo, the infrared sauna, the red light bed, the leg compression, a vitamin booster, the PEMF mat. Or if they get a day pass, they get to pick 3, or they can do the express strip or the express facial, depending on what's on the card. But the day pass.
And that's what you left up front?
That's what they have up there.
Okay, good.
I have no idea. I didn't put the bags together, so I have no idea like how many drips are in there, how many facials are in there. But the day pass is amazing because it's like you can make that last. You can come in for like 20 minutes and do, a quick vitamin shot, do the red light bed, do the cryo, and you're in and out in 25 minutes. Or you can do the 40 minutes of leg compression, the half hour in the sauna, and then do the cryo, and suddenly you're there for, an hour, hour and a half. So, you can make a day of it.
Yeah, very cool.
It's amazing.
I like that. Yeah, we got to do that and let people see it, bring the visual side of it.
The cryo's crazy because the cryo, like the nitrogen comes out and you look like you're in like a haunted movie or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa. So people always think that's like, super fun. Even my kids are like, whoa, that's so cool. I'm like, you're not old enough. You can't go in there. It also literally is cold. It's very cold. But it's such a great piece of equipment. But like anything that we have in there is evidence-based and research-based. So it's not just like go in the cryo and maybe it's going to do. No, there's evidence that shows that this is going to reduce body fat, especially in the abdominal area in postmenopausal women. Those women can't lose weight. Well, they can if they go in the cryo. Or the a full spectrum light bed that has the blue light, which is also great for dopamine production and anxiety, or the amber light that's in there. So there's so many different modalities, and you have people that are like, oh my gosh, the full spectrum light bed is my favorite thing, and other people that are like, meh. But everybody is different, and everybody responds to things differently, and so it's all about figuring out what makes the most sense for your body. So, to get you thriving, because obviously, Synergy is great, and we get you, out of pain, but Thrive is meant for all the stuff that's going to make us live forever. The NAD, the fountain of youth, all of that. So it really is about optimizing your health and making sure that you have some basic tools that can small little things can make a big impact on your overall health.
Yeah.
So it's fun stuff.
NAD.
It's my fun place.
NAD. Is that that also helps with recovery or people in recovery? NAD.
Yes. So it helps with a lot of things,
Yeah.
right? And there are different ways to take it. You can take it orally, but I generally don't recommend it unless you're taking it liposomal, because then your body will absorb it. But we do it either in drips, so 250 milligrams up to 1,000 milligrams. Generally, if somebody's doing 1,000, they may be in alcohol or drug recovery, or they have a major chronic or autoimmune condition. And so it's a detox for the cells. But it can make detoxing from, drug and alcohol abuse easier. The side effects, it kind of mitigates those a little bit so that, maybe you're not getting the tremors, maybe you're not getting as much of the sickness. So they're starting to use it in treatment facilities, which I think is amazing. For most people, it's about getting their levels back up. So if you're super depleted in NAD, which we produce less of it as we get older, this is a way to kind of boost your levels so that your cells are operating at their best. So every single cell in your body responds to it and has NAD, but this is going to clean out your mitochondria, which is like the brain of the cell. And so you detox a little bit, but you're going to reduce inflammation. And that's probably the main thing with it is when you reduce inflammation, everything is better. All your organ systems are working better. You're going to recover better from, athletic performances or even, illness or injury. But you're going to look better. I mean, it's even amazing for the skin. So you can use it topically, or you can, just getting an infusion of it helps to, boost your collagen production. So heck yeah. So it's good for so many things. But there are people who cannot take it. So active cancers, not getting it. Certain medications, you're not going to be able to take it. So there are some risk factors, but, that's what we assess you for when you come in. For instance, my mom did some of the drips. She has Lyme and she has rheumatoid arthritis. She hated doing the drip. And she's like, I don't feel great doing this. We started microdosing her. So she does a small injection 4 times a week with just a little diabetic needle in the stomach. Huge difference. She's like, okay, my skin is not bruising as easily from the Humira. My joint pain has decreased a lot. I'm not having to use my cane as often. So those are measurable, objective things that we can look at to go, yes, this is helping, this is making a difference. So, different dosing depending on what we're going for, and different ways that we, administer it. Because there's also like a nasal inhaler that you can do, which is really convenient for people. But people also report, better energy, better focus. So it's the magical thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife gets migraine. She's an MD and she works at Arthrex, but she, like most people in science, she just is a workaholic in the field, and she gets migraines and they're severe, and sometimes she'll go, the only relief she can get is from a drip that she gets that, I'm trying to remember everything
Probably
that she gets in a drip. What's that?
Maybe Toradol.
I think that's been in there. Yes,
okay.
yes.
And that's
yes.
medication. Great anti-inflammatory, can definitely help with migraines. And yeah. And there are also some B vitamins that'll help with that.
Magnesium maybe.
Oh yeah.
But it's the only relief sometimes that she can get, without going to a narcotic, which has never helped her. And it gives her some peace, because she just suffers. And then the 3 days after are always just terrible too, because, I just watch her go through the suffering of it. But that is the one thing that it also forces her to sit there for 40 minutes or whatever it is through the drip, which calms her down and, puts her in a place where she has to get, women especially who get these migraines, I feel so much for them, because it's just, it's horrible, just seeing that.
I'm
torture.
So glad I do not get them, because if I get a headache, I'm like, oh, I have a headache. I can't focus. It's hard to get work done.
Yeah.
A migraine where it's like just totally taking over. Some people get the blurred vision, or they get the auras.
Yeah.
They have to be in silence. They have to be in quiet. That's really tough, especially if, you're working full time, and, some employers are not going to be understanding of it. And they're like, okay, can't you take a medication? And some of the medications, the side effects can be more migraines, or it doesn't do anything. And so also figuring out, what works for your body. And it's great that she knows that now, so that, hopefully she can get quick relief when one comes on. But it's That's a challenging one.
Yeah, it is. It is nice that there is that some sort of an outlet rather than any type of narcotic or something else. Or Nurtec is the other one she takes, and that doesn't always, impact her the same way as a drip will. Which is really awesome that there's access to that now, which there wasn't always.
They're becoming more mainstream, and I'm somebody who's. I'm a chiropractor. I know all the supplements. Am I great about taking a handful of pills every day? No. Do I want to? No. So I also like the easy button sometimes where it's like, great, let me get an IV and I'm going to get the dose of vitamins and minerals that I need that I'm going to absorb and I'm good for a while. So convenience and ease is also nice. And, not having to worry about, wait, am I being compliant with taking, this supplement or this supplement? Easy is good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even like, a quick vitamin booster. If I'm like, everybody around me is getting sick, I do a quick shot of the Triimmune, which is glutathione, zinc, and vitamin C. I rarely get sick, but that's a quick, 5-minute quick injection. I'm feeling good. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm not getting sick. Anytime I travel, I'm like, all right, I'm taking this. I make my employees get it. I don't make them get it, but in season, I'm like, okay, guys, because they all have memberships over at Thrive. The Synergy, folks have memberships over at Thrive. And I'm like, please go get your Triimmune injection, especially if you're going to be traveling, when it's the holidays, whatever. And I've noticed that our call out rate is a lot lower because they're being proactive and taking their health seriously. Yeah. And so it's great that we, have that ability, but they work, so a lot of the stuff that we find in nature works. And we don't get enough of it because, we eat processed food and everything. I mean, I'm talking about pizza. I enjoy pizza. I enjoy all the things. And so when we're not perfect with our diets and we're not perfect with exercise and everything else, it's nice that there's a little grace in just going and getting an IV and being like, okay, this is good too.
How does a membership work?
So we have a lot of different options. We have different memberships. We have some that are drip focused and some that are Revive service focused. So there's an option to have just like a signature drip, which is a 500 ml bag. So it's like our mid-size bag once a month. And I think that one is $109. And then you can upgrade to a bigger bag, but also get a Revive service. So we have 3 different tiers that we offer for the drips. And then for the Revive services, there's either, 4 services a month, 8 services a month, or 30 a month. So people that are like, I want to do something every day, or I want to do up to 3 in a day, they get to come in and use it a little more frequently. Because some people, it's hard to make time to come in. And so having a membership forces them to come in, but they might only be able to come in once a month or once a week. And time is important. So they might just want to come in once a week for cryo. And so that Revive membership can make a difference. Or we also have, packages, because we also have a lot of people that travel a lot for work. And so they're like, I might not use it every single month, but I know that I'm going to be here more in November. And so I want to have the option to use those credits, or I want to be able to bring friends in. That way they can transfer them. But the credits always roll over month to month. And then you get discounts on additional services throughout. So if you have the Revive membership, you get discounts on drips. If you have the drip one, you get discounts on Revive services. So you can kind of mix and match and, figure out what makes sense for you and your body, because some month you might need a whole lot more. It might be a really stressful month. So, you might need to do 2 drips instead of 1, or you want to do a couple of day passes. Great. And other months you might be like, yeah, I just need to do a drip, or I'm traveling a lot, I'm not going to be able to make it in. So, you can always use it based on what you need.
How long does a drip take?
Oh, isn't that the question? Depends on your veins. So some people with an express drip, which is 250 milliliters, and then the vitamins might be done in 20 minutes. And the person next to him is doing the same drip, and it might take them 40. But most people finish, even with our largest bag, which is 1,000 mLs, they'll finish within like 45 minutes. I tend to be a little slower because I have very petite veins. I know you were thinking that. You're like, you probably have very petite veins. So it's kind of like, putting something through a hose. If it's a really small hose, it's going to take a little longer. Yeah. If it's a really big one, it goes right in. So my husband can do a drip in like 30 minutes, no problem.
Okay.
So it just kind of depends. But, based on the client, we also make notes to say like, okay, this was their drip time. So if they're coming in and saying, I'm on a time crunch, I only have, 30 minutes, we're going to say, okay, the 250 bag is going to be your best bet. So we also make recommendations based on, if you've had a drip before, what your time frame is like, and, what you're looking to accomplish with it.
Okay.
We're not solving all the world's problems with IV, nutrient drips, but, certainly we can help with things like energy, focus, immune system, muscle recovery. We even have one that helps boost collagen production. So pairs nicely with a facial. You get glowing skin, but you're also, feeding some vitamin C and some proline, some biotin, which are all great for the skin. So got a lot of different options.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun though, too, because you look at the boosters and you're like, I want that and that and that and that. And so you look at it and you're like, what do I want today? And so I'm constantly, trying different ones and doing different combinations. So I have fun with it.
I'm so terrified of needles. My wife laughs at me so much. I just like.
So we have those people. Now, one of the things that I say is, we sometimes get the people who are like, no, I will pass out. Then an IV probably isn't the best for you. But maybe you can tolerate a quick shot in the arm or in the glutes. And so maybe that's
never as bad as I make it out to be in my head when I go, is that it? Is it over? And it's already done. And I'm
it's
like,
done.
But the anxiety I get.
Yes. By the way, I own a drip bar and I feel the same way where I'm like, oh, it's going to be fine. And because I have small veins, most of the time they get it on the first one, but sometimes it's like, wait, we have to check this arm too. But the good thing is the needle's not in there the whole time. So you feel a tiny pinch and then it's a little plastic bendable catheter. So you can move your arm. It's not like, oh, wait, I bent my arm. Now the needle punctured through the vein. Not going to happen. So once it's in, it's very comfortable. You feel a little bit of cold coming in once the IV starts, but otherwise very comfortable. You get to lay back in a recliner, put some compression on. We've got the blankets. We've got the eye massagers. We've even got privacy shades. So, you can really chill out and relax with it. But IVs aren't for everybody. So there are also people that it's like, okay, we'll do a vitamin booster, or maybe instead you're going to do the sauna and the red light bed and the cryo today. So we can personalize it.
Yeah.
Everyone's at a different place in their health journey. We'll make it happen.
Her whole family believes in, or it can get them without a problem. Drips. My father-in-law used to do it. My sister-in-law does it. My wife does it. They believe in it. I just am. They laugh at me because I'm such a baby about needles, or even giving blood, or when I have to get a blood test. But afterwards I'm always like, fine, it's no big deal.
Yes, but no, it's so many people are like that. Even if you've had one bad experience, it's like, oh, I don't want to repeat that again. It's no different than going to the dentist. If you have to get a filling or something, you're like, it's gonna be awful, and they're like, oh, that wasn't so bad.
Not so bad. Yeah.
But no, you're not alone in that. But again, it's not like the needle insertion. It's not like I'm like, yes, this is my favorite part of my day. But it's also so quick that it's like, oh, okay, it's done and no big deal. Now I get my vitamins and I'm going to feel really great after. So, it all depends.
I've got some for fun questions here for you. So.
Oh boy. Oh, it's like a whole deck of fun questions.
Yeah, you get to pick out a few here. So, take about 3 out of there.
Oh gosh. All right.
And then before you read those, tell me what's something that people don't know about you but should.
Oh, well, now they know I sing in the car.
Okay.
A lot of times my patients, it's kind of like when you're in school and you think that the teacher lives at the school. And so when you see them out at the grocery store, you're like, what? You go to the grocery store too?
Yeah.
So, a lot of times personal stuff doesn't necessarily come up with when I'm talking with patients, but they might not know that I read a lot. I probably go through, a book or 2 a week, just because that's a fun outlet. And maybe that I'm a little bit crafty. So, I like making my bread and my butter. And so, I like cooking. I like cooking in the kitchen a lot. And they probably would be surprised to know that I'm an introvert. I don't love going into group settings. I get very nervous if I have to speak in front of a group or something. So I enjoy having one-on-one conversations, but I also really need to recharge at the end of the day. So it's one of those where once I get to a party, I have a great time. And when I go home, I'm wiped out. And so I can act like an extrovert, but I really if I had my choice, I'd probably be a hermit in like a cave somewhere,
Okay.
or at least for like a week, you know, relax and recharge. But yeah, I'm not as social or as outgoing as I might appear to be.
Okay.
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it takes a minute. And if I'm like getting introduced to a new group, like I can be very, like I just like to take it in and not talk a whole lot and just kind of take a seat back and observe. And so then I can come off a little bit as aloof or not interested, but it's just because I want to get a sense of everybody.
Understood,
So I like to get the read of people and understand, you know, who I'm communicating with, because I also don't like to make an idiot out of myself. So I can be a little bit calculating in that, where I'm like, are these my people? And if they're not my people, then I'm just very awkward. And if they're my people, then it's like, hey, it's a party. Great. This is wonderful. Do you want to know my life story? So it's just, yes. So there's a lot of thinking that goes on all the time.
Okay, good.
A lot of thinking.
And if we talked about it, because I always ask what somebody's Starbucks drink is or what their coffee order is, but you're not a coffee drinker.
I do drink coffee. I hate it though.
Yeah.
So when I'm not drinking black coffee. It's terrible. I will get either a double shot of espresso if I'm like wiped out and I'm like, nope, got to be on today. I'll do a double shot of espresso from Starbucks with like whipped cream on it so that it tastes somewhat better. Or I get like a chai latte or a vanilla latte.
Okay.
So I'm kind of boring, but I need it to not taste like coffee. My husband's always like, how much creamer did you put in? And I'm like, enough that it doesn't taste like coffee. Thank you so much. So it's more the caffeine that I like and not so much the coffee part, but you know, even Starbucks, maybe once a month I'm getting Starbucks.
Do you have a Starbucks right in your center?
We do. That place is always very busy.
Yeah.
So we have our Nespresso machine in the back. We have a Keurig up front. I'll do, my Nespresso in the back and, pretend it's a cappuccino and throw in some creamer.
Okay.
And life is good.
And sometimes a double espresso with whipped cream on top, right? Yeah.
If it's a really struggle bus day and I'm like, wait a minute, I've got events, like next week I have an event in the morning. I'm going to be working during the day, and then there's an event at night. I'm going to need a caffeine
That's a
boost.
doppio day. Yeah,
That's a doppio day. Yes. Okay. Otherwise, I like my Blue Lotus, the occasional, kratom, and occasionally like a kava. So I also like the, the kind of out there drinks or like adaptogen drinks. I love a good adaptogen drink with like the mushroom coffees are great with like the lion's mane, the cordyceps, the reishi mushrooms.
I've seen those, but I haven't tried those yet.
My brain really likes them. It's remembering. It's like remembering to take a handful of pills. I'm not going to do it. So I have all of these things in my office, and then it's just a matter of like, what are we going to take today? And so sometimes it's a focus gummy, sometimes it's one of the focus coffees. So it just kind of depends. But my brain seems to fire on all cylinders when I have those.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's all about it's all about accomplishing things when I get my drinks. I'm like, what do I need to accomplish today?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And those are what's the mushroom one? So what'd you call that? Because I've seen them in
There's Mudwater, which is a big brand that's out there. And then we use a lot of the Plant People stuff at my office. Tortuga makes a coffee. So they're kind of all over the place now. But like lion's mane and turkey tail and cordyceps are the three mushrooms that you'll probably see a lot of.
Okay.
And sometimes the herb rhodiola, ashwagandha, those are really great for like stress response, which... your cortisol levels usually get out of whack when you own a business or two. And so kind of helps maintain my stress levels a little bit.
Yeah, okay, good. I got to dabble there a little.
Yes.
Yeah,
you got to dabble in the mushrooms.
Yeah, I do.
The legal mushrooms.
Yeah, right.
They're not the psilocybin.
Right.
I have to tell patients that. It was like when we originally just sold, the good old hemp CBD, which is great. It's a great anti-inflammatory. And then we started to sell the Delta 9, the Delta 8. And so the people that would come in and be like, CBD, and I'd be like, it's not psychoactive. It's not going to get you high. And you'd have all these people go, oh, darn.
Yeah.
Now I have to make sure that they know that absolutely these are psychoactive. They're legal in all 50 states because it's a hemp derivative. But it does get you high. So I'm like, you have to use this responsibly. Do not take this and go to work. Do not take this and get in a vehicle. Do not do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So you also have to educate people on the differences because some psychoactive is, just a little focus, and then there's being high. So I don't advocate that at work.
Yeah, no. Good idea.
You probably won't get much done. You might giggle a little, or there's one that will knock you out. Like if I take a Delta 8 and I take like half a Delta 8, if I'm like, oh, I need to get some sleep, my brain's in like overdrive. Half of one of those, and I get my 8 hours of sleep, but that's, it's not like
melatonin.
It's not. It's a delta 8 is a derivative of THC. So, there is a possibility it shows up on a drug test. However, it's an isomer. So unless they're checking for that specifically, it will not. But a lot of women take it, for instance, instead of drinking a bottle of wine to get to sleep. During the pandemic, everyone was drinking lots of wine, lots of White Claws, margarita, all the things.
Yeah.
And so a lot of women were dependent on that to fall asleep. And so this is much better for the liver, more cost effective, and safer. Plus, you get some of the anti-inflammatory benefits of hemp with it. So, I wouldn't recommend taking it every single night, but for people who are struggling to sleep and having that middle of the night wake up or difficulty falling asleep, this can be a good way to make sure that you're getting some restful sleep.
Yeah.
In a safe, controlled way.
Yeah, and you don't have that hangover in the morning, too, or that feeling
You don't, because melatonin, even some of the melatonin supplements are okay, but your body kind of adapts to it, and you have to take more and more, and people get that sleep hangover. And, even some people may get that reaction with Delta 8. I don't find that's how it is for me, but if that's how it is for you, then maybe the HHC is a little bit more appropriate. So different things depending on, just like some people respond really well to Tylenol and other people need ibuprofen.
Yeah.
You never know how somebody's going to metabolize some of these, different supplements or vitamins. And so some of it is trial and error to figure out what's the best fit for them.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Oh, I got so much to
I know all the things you didn't know that you needed to know.
No, I love it. I didn't know, and I didn't know I didn't know. And now that I know, that's giving me new perspective. Thank you.
I know. Now do I get to answer those
Yes,
questions?
it's time for the 3 random questions.
I love this one. What's the best hangover cure?
Oh, wow.
We are asking the lady who has an IV bar with a Detoxarita IV. So obviously it's the Detoxarita at Thrive IV bar.
That's awesome.
You have your
this was not even planned at all.
I know. I love that. One that I can answer. But look, hydration, because when you're hungover, your blood sugar's all over the place. You're typically dehydrated because alcohol shuts off something in your brain called antidiuretic hormones. So you pee everything out. Your blood sugar gets all out of whack. This has some different nutrients that are helpful for liver, but you're also getting the hydration with it. We can throw in some Zofran if you have some nausea. We can throw in some Toradol if you have a headache or body aches. So the Detoxarita.
That's cool.
Obviously.
Detoxarita.
Next question. Oh, what makes you a good friend? Oh. That's an interesting one. Because I also think during certain phases of life, you might be a better friend and a worse friend. Like, when you first have a baby, you need other people to be a good friend to you. When they have a baby, it's time for you to be a good friend to them. So I think what makes me a good friend is that I try not to have too many friends, right? So I try to figure out who are the people that I'm closest to, who I want to sort of, nurture that friendship with. Even if you're acquaintance, if you're, in the hospital or something and you need a meal made, I'll make you a meal. But otherwise, I try to be intentional about the people that are in my circle so that we can support one another and have those real conversations. So I'm looking for real connections with friends. And then I think I'm a good gift giver. So my love language is probably gifts, but I don't like to get them. I don't know why. I would rather just buy something for myself. But I try to be very thoughtful about the things that I give to my friends. So it might be some random thing that, you mentioned in passing 6 months ago. When it's your birthday, I'm going to remember that. So I don't know. Maybe that's like a Virgo thing. I just remember all the little details like that and try and put it into play. But, otherwise, with the people that are really in that inner circle, I think that I'm making sure that I'm checking on people if I haven't heard from them and listening, when there's a bigger issue. But otherwise, I try to just kind of, be nurturing. I'm like the mom of the group. They called me Martha when I was in college because I was always like, what can I make for you? What can I get for you? Can I make you up a cocktail? Like what? So, I try to bring that hospitality kind of in and make sure that, you're fed, you've got the drinks, I've got the wine that you drink, I've got this. So I try to just make people feel special if they're coming over or if it's, a birthday or something. Okay. Who in the world, alive or dead, would you choose to be your spy partner for secret special ops missions? that's easy. That would be my bestie, Marissa, because she can hold... she does not have the expressions that I have. So I would probably be a terrible spy, because if I'm like, that's a lie, I'm going to be like, duh. She's, a little bit calmer with that. But I also feel like because she's this petite little thing, people underestimate her. And so, yeah, we could plan some crazy secret ops.
Yeah, you'd be a scary duo.
Oh,
huh?
yeah. But people wouldn't know we were scary. We would be like the K-pop demon hunters, where they're like, oh, they're just here to like party and have a good time. But really, we're going to get all the recon, and we're going to know where all the exits are, and we're going to know where all the secret things are, and we're going to find it. And you're not going to know, because we're just going to smile. Be like, we're just ladies here having a good time. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I feel like we could make a movie.
Is she local?
She's local.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
She's another like Spitfire person. And she's a few years older than I am. So her kids are also a little older. So it's nice to get her perspective on things, because there are times where, I might be complaining about something and she's like, okay, time to shift that perspective, or let's focus on this. So she's definitely a great sounding board, but she's also a very reasonable person and can play devil's advocate with me when I'm going like, wait, I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z. She's a great guide, but she's also, somebody that I've realized, that as friendships change and groups shift, it's okay that happens. And, it's time for new opportunities, new people to meet. And so she's definitely one of those just people that I was like, why weren't you at my wedding? And she's like, because we didn't know each other. And I'm like, how did we not know each other a million years ago? Because it was one of those just effortless things where I was like, oh, I like this person and she likes me and we're connected, and maybe we were sisters in a past life. I don't know, but I feel like we could definitely work for the FBI or the CIA. So yeah, so we're going to be ready to cause some ruckus. Mm-hmm.
Okay, final question.
Oh boy.
What do you love about your life?
Oh, honestly, there are so many things that I love about my life. Obviously, my husband and my kids, that's one of those where I think, especially as I'm getting older and we're out of that like early kid phase where it's like, oh my gosh, it's just diapers and all of that. I love these little humans that we created, and I appreciate who they're becoming as people. So I love that. And I think that is something that it took me a minute to kind of recognize that, as crazy as that is, because it's, they're now 8 and 11, but I'm starting to appreciate so much more about the people that they are. And, I even appreciate some of the struggles that like my husband and I have had with opening businesses and figuring those things out. And so I'm so happy about having a partner who's supportive and who doesn't tell me no. Because it would have been very easy when I said, hey, I want to open an IV bar, for him to go, let's not. Instead, he's like, okay, whatever you want to do. What can I help with? How can I support you? And, he's still like that now. What do you need help with today? What can I do to help? What do we need with the kids? And so I'm really appreciative of the family unit that I have. And so focusing more on the relationships and less on the stuff has been very nice. And I also think that, there's something magical about being in your 40s, where the 30s are all about the hustle of like building. And now there's a moment where you can kind of go, okay, I've created something that I can be proud of. I've worked hard, and I'm starting to see, the fruits of the labor, where you're going, okay, we have a great staff. We have great people on our team, and they have great families, and they're part of this bigger picture. And so those are really, and they also take up so much of my life, right? Work and family and work. It takes up so much, but I'm grateful for the amount of growth that we've kind of had in both businesses and some of those lessons along the way. And, I'm really excited about seeing where life takes, my husband and I, and where life takes our kids. So I'm excited to kind of continue to watch them develop into these people that hopefully make a difference in the world. Whatever that is. I don't care what they do as a career. I don't care who they marry. I don't care, where they live. I want them to be happy, responsible people who hopefully have a good moral compass and are guided by the idea that they can make an impact in the world, however small. And Yeah. So I'm glad that I'm in a place where I can recognize that, and I'm glad to continue that journey. As crazy as it is sometimes.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
I love that.
All good
I love
things.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're blessed to have you in this community, which is
Well, thank you for that.
Pleasantville. And, just to have somebody, such a good soul who cares so much about life and the people in life and the people around you. So it makes a difference. It has a big impact. And I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
That's very kind, and that's very nice to hear. But also, I'm sure you experience this where you're like, okay, we've done a little bit, but what else can we do? How much more can we do to help the people out there? So I feel like the job is never really done, and that there are always more opportunities out there to make a difference. And so I look forward to seeing what some of those opportunities are and seeing where it takes me.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's awesome, and we're blessed that you chose here, and also you just now, which is what I think is so cool about this opportunity that I get to meet the people that are the heart and soul and future of this community by raising great children, by contributing to teachers the way you do, by contributing to the community the way that you do, and you're not done. You're just
I'm not
starting.
done. I still feel like these are like tiny little,
Yeah.
like grassroots efforts, and I still feel like there's more. There's more, and I feel like there's more of an impact that we can make, and there's more awareness that we can make, and I'm excited to see how many people we can get involved, or how many people get curious and ask the questions to say, what can I do? How can I make my community better?
Yes.
And so I'm sure that there will be more nonprofits that pop up and more people saying, hey, here's a need. And it's exciting to kind of problem solve how we can all work on that together.
Yeah. Well, please always know that we will forever be your partner in whatever it is that you're up to, and whatever you need. We're here we're an automatic yes for whatever there is, and however we can support you and your causes and whatever you're up to, we'll be there for you forever.
I'm excited. Well, and I'm excited to get all your group in, and we need to do some self-care at Thrive.
Yeah, I love that.
Let's get on that.
Yeah. Thanks for the swag and the goodies, and that'll be exciting for us. Yeah,
I love a good scratch off.
Yeah, cool. All fun.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be fun.
That was awesome. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so
God bless
much.
You. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the Spotlight on Good People, or listen to the Spotlight on Good People, whichever one you are. We appreciate you. If you're enjoying it, or if you're getting something out of it, could you show us a little love and do what everybody always asks, subscribe, like, share. Also, if you know somebody who should be featured, they're one of those good people who we need to shine a light on, let us know. Love to have them on as a guest. Thanks.